And now on Radio Flange Goblet, it's our very special annual New Year's episode of the After Movie Diner. This broadcast is sponsored by the Insomniacs Association of America and the Suicidal Support Charity. Can't sleep or thinking of topping yourself? Here you go. You're welcome, world. Welcome to the annual After Movie Diner New Year's special. We did talk about having one biannually until some bright chap in the mailroom pointed out that New Year only happens once a year. We had to agree, but to his face said, "You're fired, you have 33 minutes to clean out your hole." Luckily, the 14 hours of corporate meetings we had in luxury strip joint drinking establishments and all the third-party consultants we hired to brainstorm the idea were tax-deductible and the cost offset by reducing Christmas bonuses by 25%. Anyway, enough of all that boring business stuff. It's our New Year special. Christmas is over, relatives have been polished, cookies have been ingested, the ceremonial hairless badger has been waxed, bizarre ceremonies involving the worship of a partially naked foreign child in a stable have been undertaken, with literally zero things changing ever, and you've masturbated into a cup, stuck a length of used floss in the middle, you've cooled it a candle, you've given it to a cousin you barely care about, and left before they could light it. We want you to kick off your shoes, recline with a loved one, or a friend with benefits, or one of those friends that you cuddle with, pretend it's platonic while living in denial and secretly going berserk with love over, or, if you're by yourself, reach for your favourite alcoholic beverage, an old sock and some hand lotion, relax, and enjoy this wonderful examination of 4 films from the early days of everyone's favourite womanizing, injustice-fighting prankster, George Timothy Clooney. On our panel tonight, we have a man whose beard was once used by NASA to navigate a particularly tricky fast food drive-thru, a man whose extensive encyclopedic knowledge of curious sexual habits won him the Dutch Nobel Wank Prize, which came with a year's supply of Shannon Tweed films, and a novelty hat, pin, and ankle bracelet set depicting the buttocks of Monique Parent, and a man for whom the simple act of wiping the clamshell case of the 1983 film Fireback across his brow can arouse him to Olympic heights, and which has inspired the work of Andrew Penky Pink, a Bratislavan artist who only uses Hebrew national hot dogs. It's Mo Porn!
Yeah, I'm rubbing Firewalker on my crotch as we speak.
Fireback.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever.
Firewalker, Fireback, Firestarter, what's the difference?
It starts with fire and rub it on my crotch. It's fine.
It's from the 80s. It's on his crotch. That's all we care about. And next to him, the man for whom pork is his new word for family, a man who built an entire wing of his house simply for the housing of pork and pig-related video games, a gentleman who once donned a gold Starfleet uniform, marched down to his local nightclub, demanded the DJ play some ELO very loudly, and instantly got the entire room pregnant, and the man who would show up at your door if you illegally mailed some live budgies to an aunt in Alaska who liked to shove them up her posterior as it was the only way she could achieve loud and unwieldy pleasure, and tell you, very normally, to stop it. He bathes in bacon, washes his toes in ham and ham-flavoured products, keeps large wads of jerky in his pants for emergencies, and he's here to bring us all Payne! It's Matt Payne!
I have ELO playing in the background right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
And I'm willing to share all of that jerky in my pants with all the rest of you gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. As my teacher always used to say, you can only eat it if you have enough for everyone in the class. Luckily, my penis was big. So, and last, I don't know what that means, but you figure...
I don't know. All his ELO talk has got my penis turned to stone.
Rigid. And lastly, it's the man whose noxious nightly bottom emissions caused the abdication of at least 2 crowned heads of Europe. The man who once stopped the destruction of a shopping mall in Birmingham, England, by a man claiming he'd simply had enough of ABBA on the music system and would detonate a miniature cock bomb he had built by giving the man a half-eaten sandwich, roundhousing him in the chest and promptly looting a furry handcuff shop before calling the police and disappearing into the night. A man who lives in an igloo made out of pop vinyl, steel case Blu-rays and used dirty syrup tissues. and a man who will fistfight small woodland creatures for their nuts, making them into necklaces, and sell them at a vastly increased profit to blind people who just want to have something beautiful to give to orphan children, and they simply take his word for it. He's the doctor of action, the nurse of self-abuse, and he can inflate a balloon simply by using his nostrils. It's the one and only Dr. Paul Crowson.
Hello.
Yeah!
It's all true.
Every single word of it is fact, unlike anything that you will hear on the popular news broadcast networks. So how have we all been? We're going to try and what we're going to try and do is give people some hope for 2017, considering 2016 was an entire waste of time.
Okay, and that's good night from us.
We're gone. How are we possibly going to maintain our humour and our hope and our joy in the face of such adversity? I guess only time will tell. But Mo, what are your feelings? How are you going to maintain an erection? I mean, maintain joy and all that other stuff I said.
Well, I've been saying this for months now. I said I have to keep laughing because if I don't, the tears will overwhelm me.
Right, exactly. I feel much the same way. My feeling has been this: considering 2016, following the news and following news-related posts on social media and so on, has been a monumental, depressing shit show of catastrophic proportions. I've decided for 2017, I'm giving all that up. No more news, even fake news. I'm giving that up as well. I'm giving it all up, and I'm just trying to focus on being as silly as possible. I will fail. I will undoubtedly, Donald Trump accidentally nukes Belgium when he asks where is it on a map, that kind of thing. That will probably come through to me, and I'll be like, oh, Jesus Christ. But I am going to try and just maintain my silliness and sense of humor, because there was something I was hearing about the Dalai Lama saying that, even at the worst, even in the worst situations, one has to smile and laugh, because that smile and laughter can infect other people, and other people will smile and laugh, and it will have a ripple effect. Of course, he's exiled.
And then somebody went, what about 2016? He went, wow, I don't know what you can do.
You can only laugh so much.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly, but he's a guy who wears bedsheets who's annexed from his own country for simply being a leader who believes in peace. That's
what
wonderful.
What a fucking twat.
What a fucking asshole. Let's not listen to anything he says. Matt, how's your 2016 been, and what are you going to do in 2017 to keep on whistling in the face of such a disaster?
Pretty much the same thing that you guys do, like you said, just the past year with all the stuff.
Serious masturbation
into a cup.
That'll work too. So
that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. It's just also, like you said, so many people are just going around thinking it's going to be like the apocalypse and everything. And I said, it's not really going to be that bad. It's really, really hard to avoid the news altogether, no matter where you go. So it's like you said, you can't take all that stuff real seriously and whatnot. So you just go you just got to laugh at certain things. There's so many things you out of your control. And so what are you going to do? So.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to...
But there, like I said, there is hope. Hope is out there.
Furiously masturbate, as Doc says. I think actually we'll change this episode. We'll change the name of this episode from our New Year's special to 3 Guys in a Cup.
I'm holding the cup.
Oh no, 4 guys in a cup. Sorry.
No. Doc is the cup.
Oh, great.
Mouth cup. So
open up, princess.
Don't worry about the biscuit.
Yeah. We're off to a great start. So, Doc, what is your plan for 2017? I know that you kind of shy away from the news and politics anyway, and sort of walk to the beat of your own buttocks. But what's your plan for 2017, sir?
Watch movies, spend as much time with the family, which is obviously the most important thing. They're in the next room, so they can probably hear me.
I have to say that in case one day she listens.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters who have now all figured out the Wi-Fi password, so they can listen.
They're all listening right now.
Yeah,
and they're all like, Dad, what is a cock ring _147?
Who did you fist?
Yeah.
I fisted Niven. Yeah. And
I fisted David Niven in the war. So.
How do you think David Niven died?
Wow.
I might try. I didn't really kill him by fisting. I might try.
Me and Paul were talking at the beginning of the show. I mean, we were talking about stuff that's coming out next year, and there is hope out there for some good stuff as far as, like you said, movies.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, too bad there's no hope for international relations.
No.
Well,
no
that's
hope.
gone. That is gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
On the way to fucking dodo. That's never coming back.
If you want to travel abroad and you are either British or American, at this point you have to wear a Target or Bullseye shirt so that people know who
I
to
just
hit.
wear a sandwich board saying sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
And
lot.
on the back it said it wasn't me.
Right.
So I voted Remain.
Yes.
I just bought myself a backpack with a giant like red maple leaf on it, so that people would at least think that I'm not American.
Right. Yes. English people pretend you're Scottish, and American people pretend you're Canadian, and we should still be able to get by, just about. So, Doc, start perfecting the Scottish accent, and I'm just going to wear my Toronto Maple Leafs hoodie everywhere until it starts to reek of pickle juice.
I will do my best.
And old pork. And I'm going to say a boot a lot, even though I've actually never heard a Canadian say a boot.
You know, every now and again, Doug slips with the boot, and it makes me laugh every time.
Every so often, Doug slips on a boot.
No. He says
No,
a boot
I know.
every now and yeah, it's fucking great. Really, the dead giveaway is the sorry.
Sorry is more of a give. Now, sorry, I've heard.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, eh?
Sorry about that.
So that's what we can do. I guess we could pretend we were from New Hampshire, just because they tend to be a law unto themselves, or rather have no law. So we could kind of pretend we're from there, but Canada probably works. But it's all good. Anyway, we're here to tell everyone listening that 2017 is going to be amazing if you do but one thing, and that is listen to the After Movie Diner podcast and go on the After Movie Diner website and listen to Dr. Action and listen to Mo's new show and listen to the archives of Mo's old show. And just basically the only website you should go to in 2017 is the After Movie Diner, and pretty much you'll be okay, because there will be literally no politics on there, no religion on there, and no gratuitous pictures of Gordon Ramsay. So we should be fine.
Well,
I've actually gone the way of China here and blocked every website from my computer except the After Movie Diner.
Yeah, that's exactly the way to be.
That's a good idea, yeah.
I've also gone the way about China. I've employed a lot of children to start making punch films. And they're very cheap. And I'm now a millionaire. So.
That's fantastic. So, what are the 4 films that... I mean, I have to really apologize. So, let's go back. When we were talking about what we were going to do on this episode, there were lots of possibilities mooted. And one of the things that was floated around was a sort of before they were famous show, where we picked kind of like 4 or 5 films that starred people before they were famous. And then somewhere in the conversation, I was like, we could do Return to Horror High with George Clooney, or, and some other Friday the 13th, Kevin Bacon, and so on and so forth. And then somewhere along the line, I'll take the blame for it. It's fine.
Yeah, this is entirely your fault.
It's entirely my fault. Because I kept putting
John didn't intentionally want to torture us this holiday season. So.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, well, I like it. I like each year for it to be a challenge. Like the challenge of the Roger Moore one was to see who would watch all of the 25 movies we picked out. The challenge of the Andrew McCarthy one should be clear. And
well, that was easy, though. I thought that one was pretty easy.
That was easy in comparison to this, but I had no idea how bad George Clooney's early movies were until I sat through 4 of them back to back. Then I wanted to literally tear my kneecaps out of my legs and blind myself with them. But
mind you, they're not all bad.
None of them are good, though. Like, they're not,
It's a real fine line.
A couple of these are actually, they were watchable, so.
No, they were all...
two of them were.
I was going to say, the 3 that I watched were watchable.
Right. I mean, if your bar is set very low, like
if your bar is set like Andrew McCarthy low, then
if you're Mo and all you watch is no budget nightmare movies, like
my bar is already super low, so these movies were fucking fantastic.
Right.
Oh, well, I'd put Pretty in Pink on a par with Lawrence of Arabia compared to some of these.
Well, John, when you and Mo a couple of months back, you talked about Microwave Massacre. I mean, that's a masterpiece to me right there. I mean, I have that on Blu-ray. So
right, yeah, no, exactly. And one of these, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, actually came out on Arrow Blu-ray as well. So that's not always a sign of greatness. So anyway, it ended up we picked 4 before he was famous George Clooney movies: Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Return to Horror High, Red Surf, and Combat Academy, which IMDb says was his first feature film appearance, but that's not true. More of that later. So we picked those 4 films, and gosh, I wish we hadn't.
Yeah. Let's give blame where blame is due here. Okay?
Paul saying we had nothing to do with. We did nothing.
You picked.
Okay, so but just on my side, just a little bit.
When the time comes, there is one of these I want to thank John for putting on the list, and I will specifically tell why.
Okay. So there were weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of me texting you guys on Facebook going like, have we picked an idea yet? Like, it really did come down to the wire, and I just had to go this. So I'm going to put some of the blame in your courts. But
that was really... It was like day 4 of no response, and I finally I'm just looking at it. I'm like, let's just do the fucking before they were famous shit.
I wanted to do Linda Blair. I wanted to do like a Linda Blair show. But no one was down for that. And then we wanted to do the Walking Tall trilogy, the original Walking Tall trilogy. And we could have even done the Rock one as well. We could have just done anything called Walking Tall.
I was really on board with that one until somebody vetoed the midget porn parody Walking Small.
That wasn't me.
Which is a real thing, by the way. Look it up. It's hilarious. The main character's name is Buttford Pussy. It's brilliant.
It's fantastic. But I think, therefore, we have 2 more New Year's specials figured out. Next year, we'll either do Linda Blair or Walking Tall, because either one has got to be...
Or 4 midget porns.
That's 4 midget porns, because it's got to be better than these films. So, guys, should we go chronologically? Should we start with Combat Academy? What do we want to do?
Yeah.
Why don't we sit here and not respond to you for 4 days?
And then talk about Linda Blair's tits.
I'll just come back and say I watched all Joe Don Baker's movies.
You watched them anyway, even though we weren't doing them, or did you watch them?
Matt did all of them.
He's had a really busy couple of days.
Okay, so let's start with Combat High, or Combat Academy, in which our erstwhile hero, George Clooney, plays Major Biff Woods. And it's by...
Oh, I get it. Major Woods. That's funny.
Oh, that's clever. Made by Neil Israel, who is known for Police Academy, Bachelor Party, Real Genius, Police Academy 2, various different things.
Where the hell did he go wrong with this one?
Right? And this
ones are so great.
Well, I think the key to the errors in this one is that it was made for TV. It wasn't an R-rated video release or
and I didn't even know that until I first watched it, until I looked it up. So
yeah, it was made for, what was the network? Was it CBS or
NBC?
NBC.
Max and Perry are a pair of high school misfits, and proud of it. They've majored in minor mayhem and major chaos, but this time they've gone too far.
And so I am sentencing you, Maxwell Mendelson, and you, Percival Barnett, to the full school year at the Kirkland Military Academy.
Like it or not, they're going to military school. and Combat Academy will never be the same. From Neil Israel, who brought you Bachelor Party and Police Academy, comes the outrageous new comedy that takes the offensive position against military school and declares war on order.
You little weasel! You are never, ever getting out of here!
But will Combat Academy teach them the vital skills they'll need to survive, like marksmanship, table manners, the heroism of John Wayne.
I'm getting out of Dodge and I'm taking the Marshal here with me.
The discipline of General Patton.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah.
And the blood-curdling macho of John Cobra Rambo.
You're the disease, and I'm the cure.
John Cobra Rambo? You mean the person at NBC who did the voiceover for this trailer didn't know the difference between Cobra and Rambo? Ugh.
Not to mention good old-fashioned army intelligence.
Kevin, you're in!
Combat Academy. It's a love story. It's a war story. Keith Gordon from John Carpenter's Christine and Back to School stars as Max.
Perry, this place is a loony bin.
Wally Ward as Perry. Also starring Robert Culp, Richard Moll, Dana Hill.
The entire company is either dead or captured.
And Jamie Farr.
Quasi Webbit. Hello, I'm Elmer Fudd.
It's the movie that picks a fight with military school and wins. Combat Academy, the comedy that's uniformly funny.
You want me to salute you? All right, but first, you salute this.
So yeah, it was made for TV, and it's basically, Doc, do you want to run down the plot of this one?
Yeah.
Seeing
Keith
as it's one
Gordon,
you watched.
I watched 3 of them.
Yeah.
And also, I saw Combat Academy when I was like 7. I rented it a few times from the video shop. I was a huge fan. So Keith Gordon and his stupid mullet, balding head and his geeky friend are pranksters in school. They get suspended on the first day because of some outlandish twattish idea that they've got. They get suspended, go down the road, set off another prank because they're fucking geniuses, get arrested, go to court, and they get told that they've got to go to Combat High. They go to Combat High, the twattish, geeky mate falls in love with a girl, George Clooney's there, and hijinks ensue.
George Clooney's her.
Yeah, he's there, and everybody learns a moral lesson. Fucking brilliant.
Which is what?
Don't do that.
The moral lesson is don't do that.
Yeah, it's a ballpark answer, but it's in there.
Don't be.
Yeah, like I was saying to Paul before we started record, I said, this came out in 86. How many movies came out in the 80s after Police Academy that had the word Academy behind them?
Reanimator Academy.
Mo, Reanimator Academy.
I know all about Reanimator Academy.
Yeah, it's a good film.
But Mo, you would probably know that because they're mostly sex romps, most of them, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know an exact number, but there are a lot.
But considering I did all movies with massacre in the title, maybe my next article for the After Movie Diner is all movies I can find with Academy in the title.
It's not a bad idea.
Let's do that next year.
There was Ninja Academy, they had Cheerleader Academy, everything.
Yeah, Police Academy obviously 1 through 503.
Lethal Weapon Academy, Die Hard Academy.
Die Hard Academy.
Academy, which was set in the world
in the
of where,
Academy.
Yeah, it's set in the world of all the people who one day want to be judges for the Oscars. So they're in the Academy, and they have to learn how to be old, out of touch, and only vote for things in which cripples find true love with African Americans in the rain and with subtitles.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
Oh, in World War II, sorry. With a disability.
You missed that out.
Yeah.
now we've got an Oscar winner.
Now we've
for
got an
the
Oscar winner.
Old White Man Academy.
Yeah, like I said, I had no idea this was made for TV until I saw it. It's basically just kind of a sex comedy with no sex and no nudity.
Yeah, which is sort of where it falls down, because I feel, I mean, I hate to come across as crass, but that's what I am.
But you're right, though. You're right.
Cock.
Yeah, I wanted to see if his
if his pubes were like his hair, because I bet they are.
I wanted to see if the cuffs match the collar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, can we just say first of all, his hair at the start of this is tragic. It's tragic.
His hair alone.
I'm so glad. I'd have sent him to Combat High just to get his fucking hair cut. It's terrible. Did you guys notice the way when Clooney plays this part, how he plays this like really dead serious?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of.
He would have thought he was in Full Metal Jacket or something.
Yeah, well, that's probably where he wished he was.
He's an actor. He's actually not that bad in it. He's like sort of like, you're really going for something, ain't you? In this pile of dog shit.
He's better in this than he is in any of the three other films.
Syriana. What he won an Oscar for.
Yeah.
He should have got it for this.
And then we have Keith Gordon still playing a high school teenager 10 years later on.
Yeah, Keith Gordon essentially is playing. If Woody Allen, a twat. But if Woody Allen was a prankster and wrote really bad jokes, that's sort of what he's trying to do, right? He's playing like Max Mendelsohn. He's playing this kind of nebbishy guy who also loves like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we put pigeons in a drawer? Like that is at the height of comedy.
I think when I first watched this, when I was like 7, I actually probably thought to myself, he's pretty funny, that guy. He's pretty funny. Now when I get older, I'm sort of like, shoot him in the face.
Yeah. Shoot him
in the face. He's really annoying.
You know when you opened your locker at school and it exploded? Oh, my God. That guy who did that, what a legend. Said nobody ever.
You know what the really fucked up thing about this movie is that like the really fucked up thing is that this movie has such a stacked cast as far as like comedy players are concerned. I mean, you've got Jamie Farr in there, you've got Sherman Helmsley, you got Richard Mall, and none of them do anything even remotely funny in the movie.
What's incredible is John
Richard Mall's got a stupid haircut, but that's it.
They're barely in it. So
yeah. John Ratzenberger, who everyone knows from Cheers, obviously, he's in it for one scene, and they even painted him into the elaborate, like, comedy painting front cover, and he's not even in the movie, really.
Who's the bold teacher? I actually quite thought he was quite.
That was Richard Mall.
Yeah.
Richard Mall.
I kind of enjoyed him. He was the highlight of it.
He's just being Richard Mall here. So
he had that one great moment where they introduced Mark Price as his son, and the guy says, "You guys know you look nothing alike," and they just kind of like look at each other and go, "Yeah." I thought that was pretty funny, but like the rest of this movie, I don't know. I didn't care for it.
It's a TV movie. Just it's just watered down. So
I think the best thing about it. And this is
Keith Gordon's hair at the beginning?
No, it's Keith Gordon, right? He's a right knobhead all the way through it.
Yeah.
And the girl he gets, you're like, see, that's what happens if you're a knobhead. You don't get the like just nerdy friend. You get a bit. She was really
and that
good
was
European Vacation.
She was it Dana Hall from European Vacation?
Dana Hill, and she has a very tragic life because she died in her 30s.
I read that on IMDb and I still made that joke. I'm kind of sick, and I.
It's all right, no worries. I'm sure she's not listening. But they. No, it's sad. She kind of does this, and then she does European Vacation, and I think she does a couple of other things, and then she does mainly voice work because
she does voice.
Obviously, for a young actress, she still has that like croaky, like I smoke 40 cigarettes a day kind of voice. She's got that like.
Well, she started when she was 4, so I mean.
Yeah. And when Mo says she started, he means hooking for heroin. That's what he means.
That's exactly what I mean.
So she does like one of the ones I remember her doing was Duckman. She does some voices in Duckman and stuff. But she has a like really very active voiceover career. And then,
I think you say sex life.
no, she doesn't have one of those. But she,
she does now. But
right.
I thought I was not. So I've just handed it over to Mel.
She does.
Yeah. They must have cranked this movie out real fast too, because this was made in 1986, and Keith Gordon actually makes a Cobra remark to George Clooney when he says, "You're the disease, I'm the cure." And like Cobra must have just come out like 2 months prior.
Yeah, right.
2 weeks. This film was definitely made in like 3 days.
It had to be.
But this film is definitely not as good as Cobra. We can all agree on that. So,
well, nobody eats pizza with a pair of scissors. So,
so this movie, I think you're right, Matt. It's definitely one of those things where imagine watching the edited for TV version of Police Academy. Imagine how laugh-free that would be, and then cut that in half. And watch this. That sort of.
And put George Clooney in.
How the fuck did they get George Clooney in his bed out into the field?
Oh, Jesus.
Without him waking up. I mean,
what is this? What is this forest doing in my room?
Yeah. Well, what's incredible about it is that, again, because it's made for TV, the other thing you get is that the drama, because, like, it's comedy up until a point in the sense that Keith Gordon's character is semi-comedic, but, like, all the George Clooney stuff and a little bit of the relationship stuff with the women and so on, all that is fairly sort of serious soap opera style melodrama.
You don't take me seriously, Dad.
Yeah, right. All that kind of that kind of crap. Like, I've just waited my whole life to hear you call me Biff.
Just call me by my name, Dad.
And all that kind of stuff. Further, like, they can't do tits, they can't do racy gags, and then it's further torpedoed by crowbarring in ponderous melodrama, where Keith Gordon has to show up at a gun range and tell George Clooney, like, the meaning of life. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching? Can we get some topless women doing square marching or something, please?
This whole side thing of his character being a kleptomaniac stealing, that had nothing to do with anything.
No, except that he wanted to get in trouble with his dad.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying. He was lashing out negatively so that his father would pay attention to him. Come on, did you not watch this movie?
I wrote my thesis on it.
I'm currently working on my feces on it.
Feces, definitely a feces.
But how is it, right? Keith Gordon does all those backflips in the fight with George Clooney, never does them again.
Never does them again.
Well, they could only have the stuntman for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's only here for 2 minutes. Now fucking film it.
Yeah, and Paul's right. They probably made this thing in a couple of days or maybe a week or so, because the only song they could really afford to have on was Twisted Sister's Be Cruel to Your School.
Yeah, that's where all the money to this movie went. That and paying for John
D. Snyder's pocket.
Paying for John Ratzenberger's huge crack habit.
Those glasses were amazing.
Yeah, and obviously
I think Donald Trump needs to watch it to work out relations with Russia. Keith Gordon does it in like one paintball fight.
One paintball fight figures it out. Yeah.
The entire budget of the film went on feathers to dump on Robert Culp's head.
Right, exactly. What's crazy though is that, you know, it's 3 years before the end of the Cold War, and obviously, like, Neil Israel has some really important things to say about the Cold War, and the speech Keith Gordon gives at the end is a very, you know, eye-opening, enlightening, impassioned speech. The last place it needs to be put, though, is in a movie called Combat Academy. Like any other movie,
they just totally contradicted everything they were saying.
Yeah, honestly, Neil Israel, if you want to write a "Can't we all just get along" movie, Combat Academy, not the place to put it. Because anyone who actually makes the 88-minute mark in this movie in time to see Keith Gordon's speech is first of all, has no idea what they're watching at that point and has gone slightly mad. Right? Or they're asleep. Or they're watching it through the crack of the bathroom door as they take a heavy dump. Either way, no one is leaving the TV set after watching Combat Academy going, yes, we should all love each other more. They're thinking, where's Keith Gordon live now, and can I go and shoot him in the face?
Do you think that they were hoping maybe this would maybe take off and become like maybe a series or a couple of sequels?
I hope so, just to see their faces when it fucking crumbled.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they saw the success of Police Academy, the movie, and went, can we do something like that on TV, but like maybe a different setup? And
something that the kids can watch.
Yeah, and Neil Israel went, not police. I know, military. Like, it's so little of a leap. It's barely a step from one idea to the other.
They just needed a black guy who made sound effects.
That's what it was missing.
Yeah,
a guy who loves guns.
Yeah. No, you can get away. You can get away without having the guy who loves guns, but you need a black guy who makes sound effects with his mouth.
It's definitely what Vertigo were missing.
Can you imagine Rear Window with that in it? He's like, I think Lars Thorwald is a killer, and then in the background the guy's like.
Actually, a little known fact in North by Northwest, the airplane scene, that's all Michael Winslow just making noises.
I think that's amazing. Michael Winslow and Alfred Hitchcock combined in the glory of cinema and sound.
The trailer for that was great, wasn't it? Have you seen my movie?
He's just sitting there. He's just sitting in the booth.
What was the sci-fi asylum movie where basically all the cast of Police Academy got back together called?
Lava Lantula.
Lava Lantula, yeah. That's where their careers have gone now.
Yeah. And
why do you guys know that so quick?
I didn't know that.
I didn't fucking know that.
Because I'm really good friends with Tim Gross and he watches all those films. There's even a sequel called Lava 2 Lantula, I think, or something like that.
Really vague.
Lava 2 Lantula in the Hood. It's where Michael Winslow, they go into like a black neighborhood and Michael Winslow says to Steve Guttenberg, don't worry, I've got this, and starts making like hood noises.
That actually sounds better than it should be.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah, anything's better than fucking Red Surf. I'd watch Combat Academy on a perpetual loop, but we'll get there. So Keith Gordon is no Steve Guttenberg, and George Clooney is no Michael Winslow, and there are no breasts in this, and the melodrama sinks it. But if you want to watch a fairly unfunny Woody Allen knockoff goes into the military and does nothing of any consequence whatsoever. I mean, at least in the other movie, the sort of adult version of this movie is Stripes, right? Essentially, sort of. The much better adult version of this movie.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to sound like one of those kind of guys, but I mean, like aside from we said there's no nudity, but there's not even like any eye candy. Like there's no like attractive women in it. No offense to the women who are in it, but like the hottest chick in this movie is Jamie Farr.
You totally sounded like that guy.
Oh, did I? Oh man.
What, Jamie Farr from MASH?
Yeah, see, I was making.
I get it. He's gender fluid, by the way. Do not identify him as a woman. He's gender fluid. And
he's a non-binary.
Yeah, and you can see his gender fluid on the front of his tunic. I was just in the bathroom having a wank. So yeah.
What would you be wanking off on the set of that film?
I often dream of Jamie Farr's gender fluid.
He'd be wanking looking at Dana Hill over at the craft service table. So
that is one desperate wank, isn't it? That is like searching for fucking...
We are awful humans.
We are.
Well, that pretty much sums up the movie.
It does,
yeah,
though.
Right.
And also, how many times has Elia Baskin starred as a obvious, like, communist Russian in movies?
Too many. Way too many.
It's this and Spider-Man, basically, the Spider-Man trilogy, and Austin Powers. He's had a long career trading on the fact that he has big, flobby nose and lips and speaks quasi-Russian. So
I can reach back farther than that, John. I remember he had a party in Raise the Titanic, too. Yes, I've seen the movie.
Raise the Titanic, which is what a 60-year-old man says when he finally gets an erection. He's like,
oh look, he did I raised the Titanic.
But I think we could all agree.
I want to sink it in your Grand Canyon.
I think we can all agree that the true star of this movie, though, is Francis von Zerneck. He's really the hero of this movie, known for the 1996 directorial film God's Lonely Man. So anyway,
that's actually what I call my penis.
Yes. So before we move on to the next movie, so from everyone round the table, we want your out of 5 rating, and we want, would you suggest people watch it under what circumstances? So let's start with Mo.
Oh, we're going to start with me. Okay, well, I'll give it a 6.
Out of 5? You'd give it a 6 out of 5?
Yeah. I think it's one of the great. I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
And
better than Splits.
This is no, nothing's better than Splits. How can somebody give a 3 to Splits? I mean, seriously, a 3?
A 3. Must be out of their fucking mind.
No, this movie was pretty terrible. I mean, I'll still give it like a 3. Because it's not like painful to watch. It was just stupid. And yeah, I mean, I say if you want to watch it, go watch it. It's not, needed. It's not necessary to watch this, but if you want to, go ahead.
And on the early George Clooney meter, where do we put it?
I put it at the earliest.
Okay, Matt, do you have any further comments? Your 5-star rating, your so on and so forth, do all that.
I give it a 2. This is like your typical kind of cookie cutter 80s movie, although it's made for TV. And there were so many of them out there.
Give this a 2?
Yes. I mean, like I said, it's not aged well at all. And if you can watch it,
Keith Gordon. Have you seen him now?
Oh, he looks better now than he did at the start of that film.
Yeah.
Shit.
And if you feel like you have to fill up your I've seen all of George Clooney's movies to say that you've seen this movie, then watch it, but don't pay for it. Just try and find it somewhere online.
It's on YouTube.
If you want
I say the same thing about Escorts.
If you want a good laugh, go to Keith Gordon's IMDb page and look at like the serial killer stare that his main picture is giving you. It is
I wank over that. Better than Dana Hill.
They took that picture. He was thinking about this movie.
Yeah,
he was thinking about Dana Hill's corpse.
And also check out the.
Did I say that? Sorry.
No, I agree with you. And
I took the photo. I know what he was doing.
I took the photo.
And the fact that he's mainly been directing TV for the last few years, and appeared in such wonderful things as I Love Trouble, The Player, but the TV movie version,
Nice.
Delivering Milo, which no one's ever seen.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Whatever the fuck that is.
God, we're going to be having to do that next year.
Yeah, we're going to do the Keith Gordon cast next year.
Oh, God, please no.
Please no. All right, Doc, you're out of 5, and would you suggest people watch it? And if you have any more comments, go.
I'd split the difference and give it a 2.5. I think I learnt something very much about the Cold War in the 80s in America. Dana Hill is a sight to behold. I learned that if you really don't want to look like a total fucking spaz, then don't have your hair like Keith Gordon. It's not this film. Great film. I recommend everybody watch it.
George Clooney's hair alone in this should have gotten a credit.
Definitely, as should his eyebrows and his inability to really form a character. But no, it's 2 out of 5. In fact, because it lacks boobies, I'm going to go 1.5 out of 5.
Wow.
And
That's
should... What did you say, Doc?
That's pretty sexist. There's no willies in it either, was there? Come on, let's be honest. There's got to be something to lead.
Paul's wondering if there's a director's cut out there that actually has nudity to this.
That's George
I
Clooney.
want to see Keith Gordon's fucking scrotum.
I want to see Wallace Langham's ballsack.
Don't want to see his cock because I'm not filth. Just want to see the ball bag.
You want to see Dana Hill's ball sack. So
I've seen it. I've got a spade for Christmas.
Wow.
nice.
Oh, I'm going to match you, Mo.
Yeah,
You're going to go there.
Oh no! You're going to win.
That's good. My personal pin-up would be Robert Culp, but you all know how I love a silver fox. So would I?
Mine's Sherman Helmsley, but whatever.
Mine's Richard Malt.
Oh, why do you have us on? You must be wondering that. You must be thinking, how am I going to edit this?
Anyway, no, I'm not going to edit this. Fuck it.
No editing. You kidding me?
It's got to be out by the end of the week. So, what am I saying? Okay, so 1.5.
Said 1.5 because there was no tits in it.
Or bush.
Because you're a terrible sexist bastard.
I am a terrible, terrible sexist bastard.
You misogynist.
Except
Donald Trump.
Listen,
You wanted to grab that pussy of Dana Hill. That's what you wanted to do.
I think we know that the only person in this movie who had a pussy was Keith Gordon. So
Yeah, it was on the back of his head.
It was on the back of his head. 80s permed bush.
But guys, it's okay. This is all just locker room talk.
It's all just locker room talk. It's fine. Listen, whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to say watch it only if you... Like, if you've watched Police Academy 6 or Police Academy 7 and gone, I could really use more of those, and your bar is set that low... And if you like the really crap Woody Allen movies where he isn't really very funny, then watch this. If you're watching it for George Clooney, don't bother.
This is actually a pretty good follow-up to Mission in Moscow.
It is, right? It actually works.
Yeah.
So, as we did on the Roger Moore episode, we are going to do a fun George Clooney-related quiz. Gosh, I know you're excited. I can hear how moist you've all suddenly become. Anyway...
Yeah. My asshole's lubed right up right now.
Because this is quite a difficult quiz, we're going to do multiple choice. In technically his first feature film appearance, which was 1983's Grizzly 2, The Concert, name at least one of his co-stars. Is it
Laurence Olivier.
A. Mel Gibson, B. Toad-Faced Man, C. John Rhys Davis, or Sala, as he's really called.
As his real name is.
Yeah. And D, Carrot Top. Mo, who do you think it is?
Oh, it's obviously the second one, Frog Face Man. Is that what it was?
Toad Face Man?
Toad Face Man? Yeah, I'll go with that.
Doc, what do you pick?
Toad Face Man.
Matt, who do you pick?
I really want to kind of say Sala.
Okay.
But I'm not real. I was going to say it then, yeah.
Congratulations, Matt. You are correct. It was Sala, a large refillable pot.
Why would you put Toad Face Man in there if it was a Toad Face Man? I think it was like a trick question. There was like, why he's never been part of a...
I'll let you guys in on a little secret. How did I know the answer to that? I've seen the work print.
Yeah. Grizzly 2, the gods. I've never seen Grizzly 1 either, or if there's a Grizzly... And is there a Grizzly 3? I don't know. We'll never find out. But Matt, congratulations. A large refillable pot of old Chinese takeaway is being flown to you by Carrier Eagle, along with a kissogram who looks like Mount Zedong.
I really wish I had gotten this one.
Okay, so...
What about if we'd have all got it right?
Well, then you would have all got that.
Oh, bollocks.
There's more than one kissogram who looks like Mao Zedong. So,
that's not surprising.
The next one is Return to Horror High.
In 1982, Crippen High School was the scene of a series of brutal, savage murders. The homicidal maniac who committed the crimes was never captured. Now he's about to return.
Killer to the left! Killer to the right! Stand up! Sit down! Fright! Fright! Fright!
Return to Horror High. Return to Horror High. It's a scream.
So, Matt, did you want to do the storyline of this one?
Well, sure, yeah. This is about a film crew, low-budget film crew that goes back to an actual high school to tell the story about a group of murders that took place years ago, and then maybe or maybe not, people start getting knocked off. You're not really exactly sure until the very end. But, well, for starters, Clooney's only in this for 8 minutes.
Yeah. He dies at the 15-minute point.
Or supposedly dies.
No, he fucking dies at the 15 minutes.
That's a spoiler. People are going to be watching this now.
I could go ahead and say this movie's kind of like Scream before there was Scream.
You know, I was just going to say this. This movie does like the whole meta thing, like before the meta thing was a thing. I actually really thought they did a great job with it.
Yeah. Movie within a movie.
Yeah, the movie within a movie sort of weird meta thing. What's the movie? What's a flashback? What's, actually happening? I really dug it. I thought it did a great job.
I did too. I really did too. Yeah.
I think it's a film where the biggest success it has is it gets away with being an exploitation movie. In other words, there being topless women and gore and various other stuff in it, but also is able to then turn around and comment on that, even though it's clearly giving you that. So it sort of has its cake and eats it too. The one thing it lacks that Scream had was a coherent storyline and characters you gave two shits about. Because the only one I really cared about was Alex Rocco as the producer. Because he was the only one.
He was so fucking good.
There's a Golden Girls connection in this movie.
Yeah,
he had a five-way.
George Clooney was on an episode of The Golden Girls playing a cop. The guy
I was going to say you don't have to fucking tell me that. I knew that already.
Okay. And the guy who plays the film director in this actually played the son in Golden Girls to Dorothy.
Ah.
Do you know that as well, Mo?
I did, because I've seen every episode of Golden Girls.
And Alex Rocco, as Doc was just telling us, had a five-way with all four of the Golden Girls.
Do you know what?
Estelle Getty was on the balls.
Well, she's the youngest actress of all of them, so she got the ball duty. It makes sense.
It does.
What happened? See, what this movie was severely lacking was Keith Gordon's hair.
Yes.
And Estelle Getty's bush.
And a script. But it's one of those, I personally, I've seen this before. I've seen this 2 or 3 times. And it's one of those that every time I make it through...
Dude, you don't have to admit that.
No, but every time I make it through, I'm like, I wish they'd done one more pass at the script. Because there was a few of these that came out. There was like Wacko and Student Bodies and a few others where they were already, as early as like the mid-'80s, commenting on the horror genre boom, specifically the slasher horror boom. And I've said before that like slasher horrors are sort of like the 80s sex romps of the horror genre. You know what I mean? They have
absolutely.
They have all those elements. They have elements that you want to see time and time again in horror movies. Just the same with the kind of sex romps, you know what you're getting.
And it's not totally straight too. There actually has some pretty funny moments in it too.
Yes, but then there were these movies like Student Bodies and this one and a couple of others that kind of cross over and are sort of 50% of one and 50% of the other. So this has some real, like, cheesy sex romp elements, but it also has some really, like, cheesy slasher elements. And it also has a sense of humor that can't decide whether it's Naked Gun, Airplane, spoof humor, or whether it's trying to be clever, or whether it's like a teen romp. Like, it can't quite decide sort of what to be, and it's a little like it's fun for the first half an hour, and then at a certain point you're like, oh, I wish they would just sort of pick one thing and be it. But considering it has flashbacks and
it's all over the place.
Yeah, it has flashbacks and dream sequences. And does it have a dream sequence in the midst of a flashback? Or yes, essentially, right? It has a dream sequence in the middle of a flashback.
Something like that.
And it has and it also has the meta thing of a film company making a film while also trying to tell the story of a real
flash forward at one point.
Slasher, right? So it has all that stuff going on. It just doesn't quite know
what you're saying is that the film is brilliant.
No.
That everybody should watch it.
No, because it doesn't have enough real scares in it. It doesn't have enough real comedy in it.
It's got a really funny bit in it.
What's that?
The funny bit.
It's got plenty of blood in it.
There's a funny bit is when they're doing that rape scene in the car. That's not funny.
Oh, God, no. Stop now.
Oh, you're talking about when Alex Rocco like puts his hand up on the woman's tit? Like,
he puts his hand on her tit, and she goes, "I'm not going to do this anymore. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to be having me rub ice cubes on my nipples to make them stick out." And that guy's walking towards her with the ice cubes, and as soon as she says it, he just turns around and walks back. I was fucking about dying.
I did not notice that at all.
Oh, I
This
shit was fucking hilarious.
My favorite character in the whole movie was played by Al Fan, who played Amos. Because I liked when he was... first of all, I like his racially insensitive name. Secondly, I love his... the fact that he was coming out and he bumped into the guy... Is it Brendan Hughes who plays the quasi-hero? The guy who was meant to be the real policeman but then takes over for George Clooney's thing and is somehow now an actor, even though he was meant to be a police consultant on the movie, which, again, was never commented on. So,
well, look at the last film, dude. Keith Gordon was a real military man, and he took over. Yeah, it's a true story. That
true story.
Actually, my favorite. Like I said, I wanted to thank John for putting this movie on the list, and I'll tell you why. Well, my favorite character in this whole movie was Maureen McCormick. Marsha Brady is in this movie.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is she one of the...
Officer Tyler.
Yeah, she's pretty fantastic.
Oh,
like,
she's the one who gets sexually aroused by blood.
Yeah, and every time you see her, she's got bloodier and bloodier.
And she's eating a sandwich at one point, which was genius.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I liked her. She was good, but I liked the bit when Amos came out and bumped into Stephen Blake with their character names. And he's like, so what are you going to do once you're done with this movie? And he's like, I'm going to do pussy films.
I'm going to go pussy films. I'm hiding 10 inches, right?
Yeah, I've got 10 inches strapped to my leg for somebody. He was my favorite character in the whole thing.
He's my favorite character ever.
He has that really great fucking like during that dream sequence where he chops off well, I don't know if it was Cassie or Sarah or Susan, whichever character she happened to be playing at that moment.
Right.
When he chops off her head, she's like, "No, Amos, you're going too far."
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I was actually really, really, really disappointed to find out that actually he was just a white guy wearing a horrible latex head.
Yeah, it was that Mission Impossible moment.
Yeah. And I also, like, there was
let's get it straight. It's a real live and let die moment.
Oh, yeah, of course. But it
Golden.
was... my problem with the movie is the middle act. You get, like, the nice slasher setup, and then there's this whole middle act about that is a pervy teacher teaching a science class, and there's all of a sudden all these other characters. As you say, Laurie Lethen is playing a different character with a brown wig instead of a blonde wig this time. No explanation as to why. And
but they commented on it. They even said we have the same actress playing 3 different characters.
No, I know, but like then there's a whole load of extraneous scenes that have nothing to do with anything. about this
all
one
the
guy.
biology class stuff.
Yeah, this one guy going like, you need to wake up in my class. I'm going to put formaldehyde by your head, and then I'm going to like torture you with a frog. And then he's asking women to stay over after class so he can like molest them. And then a woman comes in dressed like a hooker, and he says, "Well, look at the way you're dressed." Like all this was going on and on and on. And I was, what has this got to do with anything other than he is then ultimately killed? But
for
like,
the ladies. That's what they all dream of.
That's what they all dream of. Is
a pervy biology teacher
sleazy old biology
giving him a dead frog.
I just felt like there was endless scenes of this fucker, and I just wanted it to end.
It was just giving us something to live for.
I think it was meant to like set up a red herring, but I don't think it did it very well.
No. Again, another one they were probably hoping was going to be a series. It never happened.
Yeah, because this is not a sequel to the original Horror High, right? Or is it?
No.
Because the original Horror High came out in the 70s, about 10 years before this one, I think.
That's...
Oh, we don't know.
Yeah, there's a Horror High from 1973 that I don't think has anything to do with this movie whatsoever. The story of that one is a nerdy high school super whiz experiments with a chemical which will transform his guinea pig, Mr. Mumps, from a gentle pet into a ravenous monster. In a fit of rage...
Did we do that this year?
Yeah, so this is clearly a sequel. I mean, why is there any question on that? Clearly a sequel.
Clearly a sequel. So, yeah, this is... I mean... I have to say, like, I understand why, like, there are bits of it that are really good fun, but it wasn't my favorite. Anyway, guys, you talk about it. Doc, what did you like about the movie?
I already said that funny bit, didn't I?
Is that the only bit?
No, I did enjoy it. It weren't too bad at all, actually. After you sort of get past the... I don't know. I didn't mind it at all. I would watch it again. I wouldn't go so far as to buy the... £25 Arrow box set that they've probably got coming out of it, because you know it's on its way.
No, I would say what's interesting is they did Return of the Killer Tomatoes on Arrow Blu-ray, but this one they didn't. Like, I would have thought they would have picked this one up because it at least has a cult horror element, whereas Return of the Killer Tomato, I mean, we'll talk about it, but
it's got a really good idea in there.
Yes,
that just needs to be polished. If they'd have gone over a couple of more scripts with it, rewrites, and probably had a better director, it'd probably be more well known.
I agree
George
with that.
Clooney would have got more famous 2 months sooner than he did.
What do we think about George Clooney's hair in this film?
Ooh, gorgeous.
It's starting to get big. I mean, it reaches maximum density in Red Surf later on, but it's starting to get that wavy, curly, floppy, mid-'80s look. And I'm personally enjoying it.
George Clooney is one of those people who shouldn't grow his hair long. He's a bit like me. It goes a bit too big.
It goes a bit weird, doesn't it? A bit weird and curly. And it's interesting because...
there are some of us who would die to have hair that could go big. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mo dreams of having a fro, don't you, Mo?
I've got a Keith Gordon thing going on up here.
I still say you should go with the skullet, Mo. I'm still saying that. You need to grow a sweet, sweet skullet. If anyone should, it's you.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But George Clooney essentially plays George Clooney because he's a guy acting in a shitty B movie who suddenly gets a TV series. Like, that's essentially he's playing himself.
What's the TV show called, George? ER.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
You sure this wasn't Facts of Life?
Yeah. Or Body of Evidence, which he is in. So anyway, Mo, what did you think of this movie?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I watched it at work, so there were sounds of sad old gay men jerking off near me while I was watching it. But
that's probably the best way to watch it.
Right, it was around my house.
I really liked it. I thought it had a clever idea that it doesn't quite live up to. But
I just inhaled water, laughing at Doc.
You never inhale water laughing at me. But yeah, in all honesty, like, I would totally watch this again. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it had a really good idea, and I mean, I don't know, I'd give it like a 4.
But I do inhale water while you're doing like that waterboarding porn on me, where you waterboard me and then get a squirrel to jerk me off.
Watching.
But that's intentional.
Yeah. But no, I think that the best way to watch this movie is probably having some sad old gay men masturbate in the background while you do so. Matt,
yeah, but that could be said about most films, couldn't it?
He's not wrong.
For Mo these days, most of the films he watches exactly in that situation.
I went to see Home Alone at the cinema on Christmas Eve, and I paid for a couple of extra people, gay old men, to come in and masturbate while I watched it. And he managed to get to the bit where the guy gets hit with an iron, and that's the point where they came. It really did sort of give me the Christmas spirit.
Well, that's what happens when wet white stuff is raining down on you.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
what I mean. Christmassy, isn't it?
I hear that AMC, along with putting in AMC, the cinema chain in the States, along with putting in reclining red seats, are actually putting a sad old gay man wank booth at the end, and you pay an extra couple of dollars to sit on a reclining red chair.
You don't want to see that shit in 3D, though, do you?
Well, you know.
No, if there's multiple men, it looks a bit like
it's a gimmick.
Yeah, it looks like that bit in Star Wars when they go into hyperdrive. So all the white stuff whizzing by your eyes. So, Matt, what did you feel about Return to Horror High?
I'm like Mo. I had a lot of fun with this one. I mean, this one's kind of underrated, and so it's. I don't really want to call it a horror comedy because there's not really a whole lot of a major amount of humor in it.
And not a lot of horror.
A comedy
because it wasn't scary or funny. Is that what you're trying to say?
It's got its fair share of blood though. So. And there's nowhere else you're going to see Marsha Brady as a bloody turned-on cop. So that for alone gives me an extra star. So I give it a 4.
And an extra inch as well, I've heard.
I will get this when it comes out on Blu-ray too. I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah. So I would give it. So let's start doing our star rating then. I would probably give this higher than Combat Academy. I'd give this probably a 3 out of 5. Just because I feel like, although it isn't successful, there is enough fun bits in it. It's weird enough, and it's kind of cult enough that it deserves its place in, the kind of like horror comedy romp slasher genre somewhere. I mean, it's as successful comedically and scarily as Student Bodies is. I mean, they're both just as sort of awful, but also both just as sort of weird and enjoyable for that kind of odd moment in the 80s where that kind of stuff was acceptable. So I give it 3 out of 5. In terms of whether people should watch it, yeah, they should probably watch it. Probably check it out. Don't check it out for George Clooney because, like we say, he's dead within the first scene. Spoilers. But watch it instead for Richard Birnbaum. No, that's his character name, sorry. Watch it instead for Pepper Martin as Chief Denya. But yeah, so Mo...
the producer.
The producer, yeah. Alex Rocco. And Al Fan as Amos, the best scene in the movie. Mo, what would you give the rating?
I would give this 4 pussy films out of 5.
Nice. And should people watch it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, great. Matt, your star rating, please.
I give it a 4 out of 5 too. I'd watch this again in a minute.
Nice.
He's going to watch this again in a minute.
He's watching it now, as opposed to doing any more of this ridiculous podcast. And
he's currently jerking off to Maureen McCormick, rubbing blood on her tits.
Oh boy!
He's calling up his gay old neighbours to come around. And Doc, what would you give it out of 5?
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. And should people watch it?
If they want.
and the Clooney factor, what do you feel?
Well, he's not really in it, is he?
No.
He's amazing when he's in it.
So
he's delightful.
He's delightful.
He's delightful.
So the second...
he's a peacemaker, isn't it?
I would watch this from dusk till dawn, especially on one fine day. I
don't know. I'm a little up in the air.
If your name's Michael Clayton.
I don't know, John. I'm a little up in the air on that one.
Oh!
Yeah, on that one, too, I'm kind of losing my sense of gravity.
Oh, nice. Oh, brother, where are you? Right now. So the second question of our Clooney
You guys
quiz.
are making me Sicario. What?
Sicario? What?
What?
You said your brother's... What?
Did you say Siriana?
Siriana?
That's what I meant to say. I meant to say Siriana. That's it. Yeah, that's what I said.
All right, then.
I was making a bad joke.
Caesar.
Fell in my face. Yeah.
Return of the Killer Tomatoes. So, the second question in our Clooney quiz: how many ER-related TV shows has old George starred in? Mo, is it, or sorry, all of you, is it A, 1, B, 2, C, none, but he did once perform the kiss of life on a stranded bull puffin, or D, which is spelt E-R?
I'm going to have to go with Toadface Man on this one.
And Matt?
It's not Sala.
No.
Do
I need to read the answers out again?
No. Okay. I'd say C.
Because I've got this. I know it.
You'd say C. You say he's not been in any ER-related TV shows.
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay, and Doc.
But he did hear that story about the puppet.
I'm going to say 2.
Nice, Doc. Congratulations. 2.
Is
yes.
it 2?
It's 2. He starred in E/R back in like the 1980s, and then starred in the world famous ER that we all know today. He's actually been in 2 shows about ER. And congratulations, I will be mailing you the magical toenails of a midget named Humphrey who once made stale marzipan appear out of his sleeves, which got me out of a parking ticket and an anal issue I was having in a Texaco gas station bathroom.
I appreciate that, mate, but I've already got them.
Paul got my Christmas present for this year.
I refuse to believe that the answer to that question is not Toadface Man. I would like the judge's ruling on this one.
No, there is no judge. The judge's ruling is you're wrong.
I'm just picturing John Rhys Davies in ER.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies in ER with the Toadface Man.
As Toadface Man, yeah.
The Toadface Man. Does anyone actually know who the Toadface... Does anyone listen to Dr. Action the Kick-Ass Kid and know who the Toadface Man is?
Nobody listens to that dude.
He was in the Gary Daniels movie. Is it Rage or... Yeah. No, not Rage. It's the other one.
So you don't listen either.
But he's also in the Avengers and Phantasm 2 and a whole bunch of movies. He's one of that guys who you don't really recognize until you recognize.
Yeah, just go into IMDb. It would change his name to Toadface Man.
Toadface Man.
Come straight away.
And now it's time for questions from social media.
I've got one question. Do you want to wear it?
Yeah, go on then.
Just got to find it first. It's a really simple question. I know. I'm looking at it.
Does it have anything to do with my favorite kind of pizza?
What is your favorite kind of pizza topping?
The kind that goes in my mouth.
Oh, that could be anything.
I know.
Spunk.
Oh, right. This is from Grant Knock on the page. Favorite Clooney movie? And he says, mine might be Out of Sight or Three Kings. I'm wondering who's going to say Red Surf.
Nobody. But I have a lot of favorite Clooney movies. My favorite are Dusk Till Dawn, Out of Sight, Michael Clayton, Good Night, Good Luck, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, and any of the ones he's done with the Clooney brothers, the Coen brothers.
Mo?
Your favorite Clooney movies, sir?
I don't know. I think I haven't seen any.
Okay. And and previously, and this is great. Apparently, I had said that Grizzly 2, the concert, was his first movie, but looking on IMDb, there is a movie called And They're Off, which was the original title to which was And They Are Off, that's a nice change. They just put the apostrophe in there to make it look kind of cool. And it's directed by Theodore H. Coons III and written by A. Theodore Coons II. And it's a tender love story with Kentucky's thrilling thoroughbred racing world as the stage.
I've seen that.
It stars Bill and Julie Allen, and Jose Ferrer and Miguel Ferrer and Rafael Ferrer.
Miguel Ferrer is his cousin, isn't it?
George Clooney, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who Theodore H. Coons is.
That's his fluffer.
Although Bill Conti did the original music. So if you're looking to track down the first appearance of George Clooney, look up And They're Off or And They Are Off. Either one works.
Or don't bother.
Matt, did you see your favorite Clooney movies?
Oh, boy, I'd actually have to say I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'd say Out of Sight.
And now, over to other questions about our George Clooney episode.
Mine's From Dusk Till Dawn.
Don't
I only asked the bloody question. I didn't get to say it.
Oh,
and
I
if you
thought
want to
you'd
listen
already
to a
said it.
really great commentary on it, there's one on Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast.
There is. Check it out.
I think mine's Fantastic Mr. Fox, and if you want to listen to a commentary on that one, there's a really great one over on Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid.
Oh, shit, I'll do that now.
And listen to Doug Tilley and I talking about Clooney and the Coens on an episode of the After Movie Diner. Anyway, Mo's... Can I announce it, Mo, that you're future co-host?
Yeah.
Can I announce that? Okay, so Mo,
Absolutely.
who is bringing a new podcast... Well, it's an old podcast, but he's bringing it new to the After Movie Diner in 2017.
Yeah, it was a show I did exactly one episode of about 6 years ago, and then it just kind of stagnated. Although, ironically, every episode of Drunk on VHS pretty much disappeared, except for the ones you were lucky enough to be able to find. But that one episode of Dead End Drive-In, which is the name of the show, by the way, is still out there. So I'll probably post that somewhere. I'll probably give it to you and have you post it up somewhere.
Nice.
Just to have it there, and then the joke can be that we're going to start on episode 2.
So the exciting news is that, first of all, the After Movie Diner will be hosting the last episodes of Drunk on VHS, the Drunk on VHS archive. If anyone remembers that show, I have about 14,
I don't.
14 episodes or something like that I managed to dig out of a trough. And so I will be putting those up on the After Movie Diner website. And then coming brand new in 2017, Dead End Drive-In with Mo Porn and Brandon Bennett, his co-host. And they will be covering B-movies and drive-in movies and cool stuff like that.
Kind of everything. We have one rule, and that the movie has to be fun.
Yes.
Other than that, we don't care what it is.
Mo named his show after one of the best Mad Max rip-off of the 80s from Australia, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Made by
Brian
Trenchard Smith, one of my favorite directors. So, Brandon...
it's kind of horrible when you're on a podcast and you realise that your application for a new podcast got rejected.
Did you put in an application for a new podcast?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely went through the ringer to get that gig.
Oh, to get Mo's co-host gig?
Yeah, but...
Sorry. I meant to email you earlier about that.
Yeah.
It's all right, don't worry about it.
But the back rub and happy ending was appreciated.
That's all right.
And what's funny is I was like, Mo, I'll do it. And then I heard nothing. And then I got, Brandon Bennett, some guy you've never fucking heard of, is going to be the co-host.
I don't think it's a real person. I think it's just Mo doing this. It's doing a different voice.
He's going to be like, I think this movie's great. And then, I think that this movie's great. And
that's actually exactly what the entire thing's going to be, yeah.
Oh, Mo, I do love Dead End Drive-In.
I'm doing a new podcast as well.
Yeah.
With one of the old gay guys from Mo's shop. It's called Films We Like to Wank Over.
Films We Like to Wank Over.
Do you want to host it, John?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
The first movie on...
John is one of the old sad gay men from my shop. So.
The first movie on Paul's list
is
Combat Academy.
Every week. Every week.
We're doing it live every night.
From my shop.
Every week we cover Combat Academy.
We just furiously masturbate over it for an hour and a half. Whoever comes first wins.
It's going to be a 250 episode long podcast series, and every week we cover Combat Academy.
I love Keith Gordon's hair. Oh, it's so good.
I'll be watching the show, and I have ELO playing in the background.
Yeah. So.
You watch it every night, then, Matt.
Absolutely.
So Brandon Bennett asks, in which movie did you find Clooney has the best hair? I'm going to go with Red Surf. Mo?
Well, I mean, of the ones I saw, I'd have to go with Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Matt?
Same, Killer Tomatoes.
Doc?
Return to Horror High, I'll be a bit different.
Okay. I'm eating cake. Hang on.
John's eating a killer tomato right now.
John, you mispronounced cock.
That was a soft serve, dude.
Hey, you lobbed it in. I just winged it back.
Right. Brandon Bennett then asked, early in his career, the Clooney lived in one of his friend's closets. He might still be in the closet. We don't know. Do you gentlemen think he survived solely on table scraps from the craft service tables? If so, please speculate what kinds of food were probably found on set of these 4 films. To which I add, in Combat Academy, was there any left after Dana Hill had got to the... No, I'm joking. That's really cool. That's really good. I don't mean that.
Then you found out she was dead, and you felt bad about yourself.
She's dead. Don't speak ill of the dead.
No, of course. I'm so sorry about that. Guys, so what should we speculate was on the craft service table of these low-budget, shitty movies? I'm going to go with...
Hill's Leftovers. Boo!
I'm going to go with that ham... That ham that has like a clown face on it, like that ham that comes in a roll. You know, like those rolls that like you slice off and just has like a white clown face on it. I'm going to go with that in a stale bap. Mo, what do you reckon?
I suspect there'd be various forms of cheese wedges.
I think canned cheese. I think spray cheese. I think that's well.
Yeah. Spray cheese and like knockoff Ritz crackers.
Nice. So like the store-owned brand.
Yeah.
Like
I think they're called like Crits.
Right, like crackers for crackers, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
White guy biscuits. Matt, what were you thinking?
I'm thinking maybe a store-bought shrimp ring, maybe a couple of maybe a couple.
What is this, high society over here?
Maybe a couple of cans of the fancy Spam.
I think it's a bundt cake with shrimp in it. I don't know. Okay, so we got something slightly fancier from Matt. Maybe the half the budget of these movies splurged and got a shrimp ring. And what was the other thing you said, Matt? Oh, some fancy Spam.
Yeah, the flavored Spam, not the cheap stuff.
Not the cheap,
fanciest,
the
fanciest of Spam.
You know, the mint chocolate Spam, the raspberry Spam, the Oreo
Spam,
or fudge Spam. That's also a sexual position in Thailand. And the Oreos flavored, the Spam flavored Oreos. And Doc,
I like Spam in its own juices.
I'm just gonna go ginger nut biscuits.
No, just an open packet.
Just an open packet. Probably a few crumbs left in the end.
Like sadly lying on a table with a yeah. Okay, I thought so.
They've not even been arranged nice on a plate.
No,
it's just a packet that somebody's probably opened with their teeth.
Probably. And the The last question that Brandon Bennett asks is, do you think that President-elect Donald Trump was indeed the inspiration for the film series Killer Tomatoes? Mo?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Doc?
No.
And I'm a no. So it's 2-2. It's a draw. That's still undecided. All right.
So you guys split right down the racial lines, huh?
We split right down the middle.
All right, fine.
Yeah. John said the Killer Tomatoes. How many of these did they make anyway?
They've
4.
made
four.
One too many, at least.
Yeah, one after the first one was too many.
They made 4 or 5, I think.
Do I dare look this up on IMDb?
No, I'm looking it up now.
I think Eat France is the last one, right?
No. They made one after Eat France.
Oh, then 5.
Hang on. There's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Killer Tomatoes Eat France, Killer Tomatoes Strike Back. And I don't know what Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 19...
It helped put the spark back in John Astin's career.
And then there was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the TV series, which was animated and ran for 2 seasons. And yeah, John Astin stars in every single one from the second one onwards.
God, what a career.
Yeah. I've still got Grizzly 2.
I don't really know how much of a fan base there is for the Killer Tomatoes. I honestly don't really think I want to know. But
actually, fun fact, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is one of my mom's favorite movies. Like the first one.
Anyway, we have more questions. So let's just quickly finish that up, and then we'll go on to Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Gary Hill says, I have only seen Return to Horror High and the Tomatoes sequel, and I can't deny that I had fun with both. Really enjoyable, and the cheese factor is high. As far as Clooney goes, I can remember that The Facts of Life was played a bunch, and I was, and especially was jealous of his mane. Much better than Stamos ever had. Of course, he broke my spirit when he chopped it off for ER and when he beat up Jackie on Roseanne. Why, George, why? Alas, love him in tons of other things, so I salute you and his gorgeous feathered coif. Did anyone have any comments on The Facts of Life, ER, or Roseanne?
Well, yeah, I mean, in The Facts of Life, he plays a lesbian's boyfriend, so...
don't we all?
Based on a true story.
It is based on a true story. It's funny, for a man without a beard, he plays a beard pretty well.
It's true. It is true, although he does have a mighty beard in Syriana, and
yes,
that's the only reason I liked that film, because the rest of it was tedious bollocks. John Wallace
That's
asks...
the name of my new band.
Tedious Bollocks?
Yeah.
Nice. It's good.
I'd listen to that.
Synth classical music.
It is. He plays Brahms on a digital tuba, yeah. Anyway, John Wallace asks, I tend to think of Tom Hanks, as our age's Jimmy Stewart. If you had to compare Clooney to a black and white great, who would it be and why? Mo?
Come back to me on this one.
Okay, Doc.
I would have said, before I watched these 4 atrocious pieces of shit, Cary Grant.
Yeah.
And now I'm sort of thinking, probably not.
Probably not.
Cary Grant was always good.
William Kitchen on the After Movie Dino group says Cary Grant, and he is most often compared to Cary Grant. Do you have an alternative, Matt?
Not really. That's exactly what I was going to say, too. So, Tom Hanks has got a pretty wide range nowadays, though. So,
in that Cary Grant could do like drama. Sorry, what's that do?
He was in a midget porn film recently, wasn't he?
Tom Hanks, yeah.
Tom Hanks, the midget porn.
Tom Wanks, the midget.
Well, Tom Hanks has his share of 80s comedies, too, so that's where he started off.
Yeah, and then the follow-up, which was Tom Hanks for all the midgets. But, Mo, you were going to say something about Cary Grant.
No, not about Cary Grant. I think George Clooney would be our generation's Max Schreck.
That would be a good one. Yes, I agree with that.
Oh, Batman Returns.
Yeah, I'm going to go with our what is he? He's our generation's
Barbara Cartland.
No, I was going to say he's our generation's Sidney Poitier.
Nailed it.
That's what I meant to say.
No,
Nailed it.
I mean,
Come
Cary
on.
Grant in the sense that he's very good at comedy, but he's also very good at drama and
Suave. He's a suave son of a bitch.
Suave, watchable, all the rest of it. But now that he's getting a bit grayer and a bit older, maybe this generation's George Peppard. Who knows? So
I
David,
don't know, I've never seen him munch on a cigar before, so maybe. I know he likes cigars. So
he does, and he also likes Audrey Hepburn's pussy.
Yeah. All right.
Moon River. David Brighton asks, Killer Tomatoes...
Do you think George Clooney boned Dana Hill?
I think Clooney probably boned both the women in that film. I would imagine he probably had
and half the men.
Yeah, she had the hot for somebody else.
Yeah.
She was really into Keith Gordon's
She
hair.
was really into Keith Gordon. David Brighton asks, Killer tomatoes are quite unlikely, being far too easy to squash. Which vegetable terrifies you the most and is most likely to try and take over the world? Let's start with Matt.
Celery.
Celery. Why does celery terrify you?
Oh, just the sound it makes.
The crunchiness.
Yeah, especially when you have it on your pillow at night.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? and then Mo, what's your?
Cucumbers for their phallic nature.
Okay, and they're quite compact. I mean, they're quite hard. You can't kind of squish a cucumber.
They're very compact, especially up the anus.
Now, what if? Now they are of the marrow family. And what about a larger style cucumber like a marrow or an aubergine, or as you call them, eggplants?
Yeah, maybe. You know what would be really terrifying would be like a durian.
Yeah, well, the durian is a fruit, but it's also.
But that's how they got Back to the Future in Back to the Future.
What's that?
If we're getting technical here, so is a tomato technically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, technically a tomato. Yeah, good one, Mo. Excellent.
Nailed it.
Boom. Incorrect question.
Great Scott.
Great Scott. I am going to go with if we're talking fruits. I
think we kind of have been the whole night, so just keep it going.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I'm talking fruits, what really scares me is Simon Cowell. But no, or Tom Cruise's religious beliefs. But no, I think if we're going to go with what really scares me, and this is absolutely a true fear, I don't like pomegranates. I like the fruit once it's extracted, and I can eat that separately. But when you slice
I like the idea of them.
Right, but when you slice open a pomegranate and you see like all the little maroon little seeds in there, like all fucking like alien eyes and shit. Oh, that terrifies me. Also, they're most likely to take over the world because they're like the fruit version of the Trojan horse. You think it's one thing, and then there's billions of little scary alien eyes inside, and I don't like that. So I'm going pomegranate.
That's the setup. That's the setup for the next X-Files, by the way.
Yeah, right.
that also perfectly describes my poop sessions.
Nice. You think it's one, and then there's millions.
Millions of them.
Doc, did you give your answer to this question?
No, mine is vaginas. They scare me.
That's not a vegetable or a fruit.
Okay, then aubergines. Gross looking.
Aubergines, or as you guys call them, eggplants.
Yeah.
So let me just see if we have any more questions. I think that's all of them. But I'm going to have a quick...
Call them over vaginas.
No.
I think you win that one, Doc.
That's what they're called in science class.
What's that?
Over here, we call them fannies. Vaginas.
Right.
Nice. No.
John's singing the Killer Tomatoes theme right now.
Killer Tomatoes.
It's so funny when you see the original poster for the original Killer Tomatoes. They have this giant tomato with its big teeth chasing people, and it's not like that, really.
No, it's not like that at all. Certainly not in the second one. But we've got a few more questions. Paul Adonis Rawlings writes, when will George Clooney make a decent movie that doesn't involve vampires? And his second half is, I preferred his TV work. I'm just not a huge Clooney fan. And ignorance on my part.
God, he's going to love this episode.
I've avoided many of his films. I have the confidence in you, John, to explain why I should see more of them, so I'll be listening. Well, as we talked about earlier, I mean, I wouldn't see any of the... If you're not a Clooney fan, I wouldn't see any of the films we're talking about today. But I would say if you are genuinely a movie fan... and haven't seen some of George Clooney's films, I honestly think he's done enough good ones that's a mistake. I mean, you know, we've mentioned most of them, but
I was gonna say even if you start with his Coen Brothers stuff, you know, like those are great. Those are great movies. Like just even if you don't factor him into it, and then he's usually really good in them.
Right, but I mean,
there's no reason for the movies we're talking about tonight for him to put these on his resume. So.
No, not at all. But I mean, I would say that, you know, apart from Dusk Till Dawn, which he is amazing in, I think you definitely would have to see
Ocean's 11. That's wicked. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Out of Sight, Ocean's 11, any of the Coen Brothers ones, which is Intolerable Cruelty. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? And Burn After Reading.
Hail Caesar.
and Hail Caesar now.
And Hail Caesar, yep.
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which was awesome.
Yep, definitely.
Michael Clayton is incredible. I mean, Michael Clayton's just a phenomenal film. Up in the Air is all right. It's good.
Yeah, it's not his best movie, but I really liked Up in the Air.
I loved The American. It's a bit quiet and a bit kind of Euro indie art film, but I really liked The American. I thought that was a great movie.
And John, you like Gravity, right?
I get like what, dude? Gravity?
You like Gravity, yeah.
Yeah, Gravity's like a one watch and done for me. Like I saw it in IMAX 3D with all the bells and whistles, and I'm like, okay, I don't really need to watch it again. But no, it's like for that one viewing, it's fucking awesome. It's breathtaking. Yeah. I just don't think it stands up to return viewing.
Yeah, see, I watched it on a laptop and thought it was shit. So
right. But honestly,
the way the director wanted you to see it.
Right, exactly. On your phone.
Yeah, even some of the best movies have their like dream sequence. There's that one part there when she's turning off the oxygen and she starts hallucinating that he's right there beside her drinking vodka.
Yeah, that's great. That's good.
Is it really?
Well, I don't believe that fantasy sequence though, because I would imagine that if Sandra Bullock was really fantasizing as she was losing oxygen, it would be of Clooney giving her head. But I think that...
See the director's cut.
See the director's cut for Clooney cunnilingus. I even liked, and again, if you're not a big fan of Clooney, I wouldn't necessarily suggest it, but I even liked Tomorrowland. I thought that had a good mid-'80s Indiana Jones meets Batteries Not Included style vibe about it. Like, it just had a fun...
I never saw that one.
I thought it had like a really...
He's old bastard in it.
Sorry?
Yeah. He's a right curmudgeon-y old bastard, and it's a good film.
I think it was good, and I think it was well written, and I think it was done in a sort of Indiana Jonesy type way. And I don't think the film's amazing, but I think once he showed up in it, it really does kick off, and I thought that was awesome.
Because Keith Gordon's back in it with him.
Keith Gordon and Clooney back together again. Eric Kent, or Axel, from the Profondo Cinema podcast, which I would urge everyone to check out. He asks this great question: debate the pros and cons of Joe Pilato, who most people know from Day of the Dead as General Rhodes, but Joe Pilato versus Clooney as the lead for From Dusk Till Dawn. If people don't know, before From Dusk Till Dawn was made as a feature by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, the K&B Effects dudes, and I think it's mainly Kurtzman who did this, made a trailer for the film, made like a faked up trailer so they could show that they could do like a vampire movie and all the effects and the ideas and stuff. And they hired Joe Pilato, which Nicotero knew from Day of the Dead, to play essentially the Clooney part, and it's the bit where the bats turn into like the bat vampire people and are going down that corridor, and he's put together like the super soaker water sprayer with the holy water and the cross made out of a shotgun and a stake and all that, and it's that whole sequence in that back room just before he goes out to kill the vampires, and it's Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead. So does anyone have any pros of Joe Pilato playing the role over Clooney?
other than that it wouldn't have been Clooney.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say,
but I mean, I don't even know if that's necessarily, a positive. I mean, I don't know. I can't. For me, it's really hard to imagine Pilato in the role, just because Clooney's
George
so,
Clooney.
he's so iconic in it. So
it's great in it.
I don't really have anything to say on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I love Pilato's stuff, but I think that he is the wrong speed and temperament for the Clooney role. I think Pilato might have been great in the Tarantino role, which is a little more psychotic.
Yeah, but so would I.
Yeah, he would have acted a lot better. He would have acted a lot better than Tarantino did.
Right, exactly. And I just think Pilato would have been, because Pilato has that like intense thing. He can do intensity very well, and he can kind of do like psycho bubbling underneath kind of very well. And I think that Pilato would have been a much better Tarantino role than a Clooney role. Like the Clooney role in Dusk Till Dawn, he has to be a badass, but he also has to be like the hooker with a heart of gold kind of thing. He's only a dick and an arsehole to people if he really has to be. Beyond that, he just kind of wants the easy life and will make friends if it's easier for him than having to kill everybody. Whereas Tarantino is more the psycho who could go off at any point. And so I would rather have Pilato and Clooney than Tarantino and Clooney. But I couldn't see Pilato in Clooney's role at all. It would be a totally different movie. Any other comments on that?
No, I agree.
I agree. Okay, excellent.
Your guide to cinema etiquette from the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast. Tip 43.
When attending the cinema with your good friends or significant other, don't assume anyone else has any interest in what you have to say. So, always remember...
Whisper, fuckface! It's not rocket science. For more useful cinema etiquette, join Paul and Wayne on the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast at Podomatic on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.
News on the march!
The year 2014. Two best friends set out on a journey to produce the best content related to all things film. In 2015, they founded a podcast to share their passions with the world. From rants, lisps, and beer to trailers, challenges, and premieres, Nick and Justin have you covered. Find the Epic Film Guys podcast at epicfilmguys.podbean.com and follow the show on Twitter. And we'll see you at the movies.
Hi, I'm Mark James from the popular Poop Culture Podcast. I'm here today to talk to you about a serious matter millions of Americans struggle with each and every day. Do you suffer from a moderate to severe disinterest in life? Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with social perplexia, a general knowledge deficiency? Then Poop Culture, with all the snatch 'em in, may be right for you. The Poop Culture Podcast gives you your minimum daily required allowance of popular culture, comedy, and general tomfoolery. Please operate heavy machinery while listening to Poop Culture. If you achieve an erection lasting more than 4 hours, then good for you. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, nausea, diarrhea, general sense of euphoria, hallucinations, side and stomach cramps, social gaping, anal leakage, and dry mouth. Listen to the Poop Culture Podcast and gain the confidence you need to relate to people once again. No need to ask your doctor because Poop Culture is right for you.
Poop culture, yeah, it's a poop culture.
And don't forget, please, that you can support the After Movie Diner by going to patreon.com/After Movie Diner and becoming a patron of the diner. All the instructions are there, as well as a hilarious video that will tell you all about it. You can also support us in an incredible way by bookmarking aftermoviediner.com as Amazon.com on your bookmark list, so that when you want to shop on Amazon, you go through our website and click the Amazon banner on our website. It costs you no more, but Amazon gives us a little few dollars kickback every time you make a purchase. Everyone's shopping online right now, especially for the New Year deals, so why don't you help us out? Bookmark aftermoviediner.com as Amazon.com and help out the show. It literally costs you no extra money. And lastly, if you want to support the show but you don't want to do the Amazon thing and you don't want to do the Patreon thing, rate and review us. Rate and review us. Rate and review us. Or follow us on Blog Talk Radio. So you can rate or review us on iTunes and Stitcher and wherever you find the show that has a rating and reviewing capability, or follow us on blogtalkradio.com/aftermoviediner. And now back to the New Year's wackiness. I was honest at the beginning, man. I look forward all year to doing this New Year's Eve show.
I do too. I really do. To be all the silliness aside, yes, this is my best part of the season.
Yeah, all four of us. I feel like this. Is this the third one we've done now?
I think it's the fourth.
Is it the fourth? Oh,
yes, we did Indiana Jones.
We did Indiana Jones. Yes, we
did.
Roger Moore, Indiana Jones, Andrew McCarthy, and now, before they were famous, George Clooney. And I like it because when I'm getting my Facebook memories, I'm getting that thing where it's like, a year ago you were watching these Andrew McCarthy movies, or 4 years ago you were watching these Roger Moore movies, and I love all that. That makes me very happy. And
I'm not putting that on my Facebook because I don't want to be reminded. Not this year.
And
Paul doesn't. He wants to be reminded he watched Gold, though.
He watched Gold 3 times.
I'm reminded every year that I watch that from you guys.
We watched it again for tonight, just in case.
Just in case.
I watched it twice.
George Clooney crops up in it.
George Clooney needs to be in a remake of Gold.
Yes, just the toe fucking.
Well, now we've got something that we could go to the studios with.
I'm going to do a Kickstarter for it.
Remember that movie Gold with Roger Moore in it? The studio's like,
you won't need to do a Kickstarter one. Once we say that to Spielberg, he's so wet.
Yes, we'll see his gender fluid.
Give it to Christopher Nolan. He'll do it.
Oh yeah, Christopher Nolan will do anything for a ham sandwich and a wank. So we're going on to Return of the Killer Tomatoes now, from 1988, where Mr. Clooney plays the character of Matt Stevens.
10 years ago, a motion picture became the most notorious cult movie of all time. Predictably, the French called it a masterpiece. The name of this legend of cinema: The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It was so stupid, so cheap, such a piece of steaming dog flop. You think it would have attracted horseflies. Never an audience. Now, get ready to sit on your intelligence once again. They made the sequel, The Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Guess what? It's a lot better. It had to be. As you remember, 10 years ago, mankind was threatened with the greatest red menace of all. Angry, merciless, killer tomatoes. We were only saved thanks to the heroism of a brave handful of untalented actors.
Are you Rob Lowe?
No, they're back.
This time, we shall not fail!
A mad scientist.
My tomatoes can be made to resemble anyone.
Together with a yuppie pervert, turn embittered, mean-spirited tomatoes into an army of psychotic, neo-Nazi plant life. And let's not forget the stunning hell-spawned creation who just might put out for the entire planet.
Do you want to make love?
I want.
I also cook 815 international dishes and use all the popular home appliances.
You'll see atrocities beyond belief.
You can't see your feet. Do the words fat cow mean anything to you?
You'll see how producers extracted special favors from certain well-endowed performers. It's got more laughs than Out of Africa. It's gayer than Kiss of the Spider-Woman.
Hello? The girl of my dreams is a vegetable.
See?
You wouldn't believe what she can do with 6 milk bottles and a tuning fork.
The Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
It's definitely a learning experience.
Doc, you've done a rundown. Matt, you've done a rundown. Mo, do you want to do a rundown of the plot for this one, sir?
I was gonna say you might as well have me do this one because since I didn't watch Red Surf, so
yes.
So lucky.
Well, because I get to do Red Surf, so
yeah.
That's John's punishment, by the way.
Oh, you're showing your hand there, Matt.
All right, so Return of the Killer Tomatoes. It's the sequel that takes place, or that was filmed 10 years after the original?
10 years after the original, yes.
Yeah, it's about a guy delivers pizzas, but the joke is that because they're not allowed to use tomato anymore, that there's all sorts of ridiculous toppings on the pizzas and blah blah blah. And he delivers pizzas to a wacky scientist guy, and he falls in love with his I don't know, girlfriend,
sex slave,
a sex slave, whatever you want to call her.
Well, she's a tomato,
and she turns out to be a tomato. And then
she says he's my lover.
Yeah, and then hilarity ensues.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, just to fill in one of the major plot points most seem to forget.
Yeah, ever since the Great Tomato War, tomatoes have been outlawed.
Right, they've been outlawed. But John Astin, playing Professor Gangrene, has developed a way to turn tomatoes into humans. And in fact, towards the end of the movie, can turn them into any kind of human. So he can turn them into the Pope, Michael Jackson, whoever he wants. But mainly he's used it to make a muscle-bound army of Rambo knockoffs and one hot chick who will do anything sexually for you. And it stars George Clooney as Matt Stevens. And the funny thing is Anthony Stark, who plays Chad Finletter, who I know from the Timothy Dalton movie License to Kill, but also I know him from the other kind of spoof horror movie Repossessed with Leslie Nielsen and Linda Blair. And he says that they decided that he would play a crazy character and Clooney would do it deadpan. But I don't know whether it's that Clooney just can't do deadpan or whether what it was. But Clooney, throughout the whole movie, couldn't look more like he doesn't want to be there. Throughout the whole movie. Of the 4 films we watched, Red Surf is by far the worst, but at least in Red Surf, it looks like he wants to be making that film. Whereas in this one, there is literally no attempt by him to even either be deadpan or funny or anything. It looks like he is either stoned, drunk, or asleep throughout this whole film. Anthony Stark has decided to dial his acting knob up to 14 and go apoplectic in every single scene. Clooney is half a fucking sleep, and the rest of the movie, it's kind of like it's in part trying to be like Naked Gun, Top Secret kind of film, but then on the other hand, it's just silly and weird and wacky for the sake of it. And I was looking on the Blu-ray for some sort of reason as to why, because I got this through as a review copy from Arrow. And the key, I think, is in this. And that is the guy who is the sort of the brainchild or the brain donor behind these films, John DeBello. He was an ad guy. He had an ad film company, kind of like George Romero did when he started. And instead of what George Romero did, which he made ads, and then the moment he had enough money for movies, he went on to movies. John DeBello loved having an ad company, but every few years would make one of these silly Killer Tomato movies just for shits and giggles because he had the money. So it's all kind of like self-funded. It's all silly. It's all just what he wanted to do and how he wanted to be. And that's where these movies come from. And having known that, it kind of makes more sense to me. But so who watched this one out of the 4 of us?
I did.
I did.
So we all... So we all watched this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I...
Yeah, despite my lackluster plot breakdown, I did actually watch it.
I actually enjoyed this one, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but I'll talk about that at the end. Mo, why don't you tell us what you liked or didn't like about it?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I like this stupid kind of humor. I can't watch it all the time because it gets real fucking old real fucking fast. But I mean, like to sit down and have this on while I'm like playing a video game or cleaning the kitchen or whatever, it's fun. It's mindless.
Yeah, I mean, I like it in much the same way. Matt, what was your feeling on this one, dude?
This one, not being really a fan of the series, I just didn't care for it very much. Like you said, it's just a little bit too much silliness. It seems like they're trying to, kind of reach in for some of the jokes and everything. And I thought all the stuff about halfway through when they had to stop the movie and say they ran out of money, then they started doing all the jokes about the product placement was a bit much.
That was like my favorite part.
Yeah, I think weirdly enough, and I'm gonna sound
the scene where they have to stop to read the copy material for the quad runners that they're using. That made me laugh legitimately. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I actually liked all that stuff too, and I actually thought there was a whole bunch of jokes in this that I've seen, sure, done a little better in other movies, but still kind of kicked off a lot of these jokes. I mean, Wayne's World has that whole sequence with the product placement, which is a big rip-off of this. Which comes first, this or Top Secret? Top Secret comes first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole, bimbos on the beach thing at the beginning, okay, that's probably ripping off Top Secret. But, again, I'm going to sound like a horrible, horrible misogynist, but the other thing is, if you're going to have a joke about bikini babes go to the beach and take their tops off, then you better be able to show it, That's my feeling. And the fact that you didn't was disappointing. But I did I loved when they showed a lot of the clips from the first movie, and then you get a voiceover from the dude saying, wait a minute, is this Return of the Killer Tomatoes or the original film? This just looks like you're using 20 minutes of footage from the original movie. I liked all that stuff. It's dopey, it's silly, it's, whatever. But it was kind of fun. I loved the quad bike thing, like you said, Mo. I liked the fact that Clooney kept wanting to go back to the machine to turn tomatoes into women. I loved the Rob Lowe joke where he was having all these women line up to go on a date with Rob Lowe, and just as the camera is panning down this line of women, you hear him go, yeah, we will need to know if you're of age, which I thought was a really great joke.
But like you said, John, it just feels like the way that Clooney is, it seems like he really doesn't want to be there.
No, he doesn't, and that's a shame. I really feel if someone else was playing the role, because there's a lot written for his character, Matt Stevens, that could have been, really done well by another actor. I mean, I think that Anthony Stark is all over the place, and I definitely think the director should have been look, stop being insane, because it's kind of ruining the movie and annoying. But I think even more so, Clooney's idea to do absolutely nothing with the role is a shame, because I think, for example, if you had someone he's sort of the Andrew McCarthy role from Weekend at Bernie's. You know what I mean? He's like the wisecracking, skirt-chasing one of the two. And if you had a McCarthy in the role, it would have at least been better than what Clooney's doing,
That has never been said before.
More sense.
Never will again.
Never will again. And also, I kind of did like KT, the little furry tomato. I fell for that little tomato dog thing. I liked it a lot.
FT.
Oh, what did I say? KT?
You
FT.
said KT, yeah.
FT, yeah. I liked it.
I mean, like I said, this movie's stupid. I mean, it's very shallow. You're gonna get what you think you're gonna get. There's no, I mean, and even like you said, there's a couple of funny little nods at timely jokes that you probably won't get if you're not at least of a certain age. But it's still, even at face value, it's a fun movie. It's stupid. It's silly. Probably could have used more tits, but I mean, still, it's totally worth watching.
The blonde dude who thinks he's a newscaster, I love that guy as well. He's always cracking me up.
I fucking love Igor.
I don't like the sped up bits. They kind of annoy me, but I mean, whatever. Matt, what was your feeling on the movie?
Overall, like I said, not being a fan of this series, I really couldn't get into it too much. But it's not overly. I mean, there are worse movies than this that we're going to talk about, but it wasn't never really my bag.
There's only one more movie we're talking about,
and it's a fuck sight worse than this one. And Doc, what about you? So why do you hate this so much? What was it about this that you really didn't like?
I hated everything. Well, not everything. There's one. I did like one bit.
That's the
I
end.
thought the bit at the start. There's a bit at the start where George Clooney flips a pizza.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, that's how shit this film is. They're not even going to show that pizza fall. And then at the end, they say, and this is where the first reel makes sense, and the pizza lands on top of George Clooney's head. I was like, that's pretty clever. But the rest was shit.
So you don't like anything about it?
And it makes me feel worse that this guy worked doing jobs just to pay for this series of films. And he made this series of films. He could have done so much more with that money.
Yeah, it could have helped
anything.
Starving children.
I ain't even talking about that.
Fuck that. There's Killer Tomato films to be made.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad. Like, to me,
and he had George Clooney there. He could have made a From Dusk Till Dawn movie, for fuck's sake.
that was before this, though.
Yeah, but he could have been the pioneer, couldn't
Or rather, this was before.
He could have been the pioneer.
Well, he was the pioneer of Killer Tomato movie. Like, considering he had this...
well done.
No, but considering he had this stupid idea about Killer Tomatoes and a handful of, like, not particularly great, but at least jokes like, the thing is, the jokes are not particularly great, but at least he kind of goes with it. Like, he puts all that he can behind the jokes and runs with them. He managed to make 4 movies and 2 series of an animated TV show based on this one idea. Like, that has to be applauded, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Fair enough. I suppose you could say that Resident Evil had one idea that they ripped off George Romero, and they've managed to turn it into several computer games and several bad films. So I suppose that could be.
I mean,
the argument
you know what?
against it.
If he's still generating money from it, and he must be, because Arrow have released it.
Yeah.
And they also released one of the worst films I've ever seen. That was Necromantic.
Yeah.
And they released that as well. So, I mean, you know, there's obviously an audience for it, and that's great. But certainly that audience is just not me.
But what's interesting is he does... I don't know if he's on the commentary, because it doesn't say who's on the commentary, and I certainly didn't watch the commentary, but he does nothing in the extra features. The only extra feature they have on the whole disc is an interview with Anthony Stark, where he kind of just looks awkward through the whole thing and clearly thinks that the interviewer just wants to know about George Clooney, so tells lots of, like, not very inspiring stories about how they would go to nightclubs. George would say, you should chat that woman up. He would go over and chat the woman up, and the woman would go, no, and walk away, which is kind of all the stories that he tells. But yeah.
George Clooney wasn't available for a commentary?
No, and John DeBello does not, as far as I'm aware, do any extras on the disc. So, I mean, maybe he's on the commentary, but like I say, I didn't look into that. So, okay then. We have, so that's Return of the Killer Tomatoes. We have some comments online about it. Let's go over to our comments online about it. Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Gary Hill says we gave it a glowing review on Sloppy Seconds. That's him pimping his show Sloppy Seconds. Check it out, where they discuss sequels. And
shameless plug.
Yeah, Tim Gross says that he absolutely loves the flick.
You know what? The thing is, you'd never get it on Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid commentary podcasts.
What's that?
Yeah.
Available
on aftermoviediner.com, would you? A shameless plug.
No, you know where else you'd never see a shameless plug? Speaking of which, because you mentioned Necromantic before, and it reminds me that there's this great show that did an episode on Necromantic. It's called No Budget Nightmares, which you can find all the previous episodes of on NoBudgetPodcast.com.
Nice.
They would never do a shameless plug like that.
Never. Ever. Meanwhile, I have just finished drinking a bottle of sweet Boylan's cream soda. Boylan's, the cane sugar soda for all discerning soda drinkers. And I would never, ever stoop so low as to do it.
I just took out a 12-inch dildo out my arse from...
that Mo sent you as a Christmas present.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable.
So Tim Gross says he absolutely loves the film. He said, now we need to check out the 2 sequels that come after it. I said, are they any good? And he says, definitely good, as one is supposed to be set in France. So I guess I need to check that one out.
That's not a reason for a movie to be good.
Listen, Mon Oncle is set in France. As we all know, that is the movie by which other movies will be judged.
The greatest film of all time.
The greatest film. Or Jacques
Yeah, I've got
Tati's.
that now. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, you've got Jacques Tati's Mon Oncle.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know a girl with Jack Titties one time.
Yeah. Mo had Jack Titties Mon Oncle, but he went to the doctor and got a cream for it. Josh Stewart says it's his personal favourite of the series, zanier than the first in every way, some real fourth wall breaking brilliance there. If George Clooney ever gets a Lifetime Achievement Oscar, the video had better just be all his work in this movie.
Especially if you don't want George Clooney to be there.
Especially if you want to see how far George Clooney has come. In other words, rather than Bruce Willis, where he went from being a good actor to not giving a shit, Clooney went from not giving a shit to being a good actor. Yeah.
How much do you think they'd have to pay Clooney to show up at a like an achievement award for Return of the Killer Tomatoes?
I think
there is not enough money.
There's no way.
I think considering he showed up in the ER 200th episode or whatever the fuck he showed up, but didn't he show up in like the ER 10-year anniversary episode or something like that?
I don't know.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he would do
You're
this.
talking to me like a man who's ever watched fucking ER.
I think he's like Helen Hunt and the Trancer series. I think he'd show up. I think he's kind of secretly proud of this movie. I think Batman and Robin.
I think you're high on crack.
I think
there is no way.
I think
No
Batman
way
and
it's
Robin, he would never show up for Batman and Robin, but I think he would show up for this. I really do.
I think rather than turn up for this, he'd rather don the batsuit with nipples again.
Probably, yeah.
Or just don the nipples.
Yeah, I just want the nipples.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just want the nipples. Okay, we've got another question in our Clooney quiz before we go on to our last and final film, Red Surf. The Clooney quiz question is this. Named after the ugly and unlikely softcore pairing of Willem Dafoe and Madonna film, Bodies of Evidence, in which I'm sure there's a scene where Madonna masturbates while wearing an adult nappy or diaper. I'm sure there is. What was the character name of George Clooney's character in the TV series of the same name, Bodies of Evidence? Was it A, Detective Ryan Wanker? Was it B, Detective Ryan Winkle? Was it C, Detective Henry Winkler? Or was it D, Detective Ryan Walker? Mo?
I'm going to have to go with Toad-Faced Man on this one.
Matt?
Oh, I have no idea at all. I would say D.
Okay. And Doc?
Wanker.
Well, Matt, yet again, and I'm sure you've won all of these, I think. Oh, no, Doc won one.
Oh, Doc got one.
Doc won one, but Matt...
So you're telling me that none of these have been Toad-Faced Man?
None of the answers.
Like the rule of statistics is that, like, of diminishing returns, is that one of these should be Toad-Faced Man.
Okay. Well, maybe. Okay. It's not the answer to this one anyway.
God damn it.
But congratulations, Matt. I've enrolled you in the Pickle of the Month Club. Every month, a rancid pickle of your choosing will be mailed to a boss, enemy, or relative you despise of your own choice. They will also mail out copies of Margaret Thatcher's dental records for an extra fee of 50 old pence and a ham sandwich.
I'm all set for Christmas next year now.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like I'll be getting a pickle soon.
So, it is with a heavy heart and a leaden stomach and a filled asshole that we turn to Red Surf, 1989's Red Surf, which was a straight-to-video film. Surprise, fucking surprise.
As gang leaders, they raised hell.
You're pregnant? Right. I want him dead.
I want this baby, Mark.
Hey, all right, great. When they decided to go straight, things got a lot rougher.
You can't be going out on runs anymore, man. What do you get busted? Huh? What about Rebecca? What's she gonna do?
Red Surf. Now there's a chance for one last score.
We do this one deal, all right? This last deal.
Yeah, one last deal. Okay, we make a shitload of cash, we get out of Dodge.
A deal that would set them up for life.
You're not gonna change. It's just the same.
Hey, I'm not gonna do this my whole life.
But in this world, there are no winners.
This is the Russian-made AK-47 assault rifle. Shoots single round for full rock and roll.
It's my ticket out of here.
Beck and that kid is your ticket out of here.
Long life, good business. I'd give anything in the world for another shot. Not you, okay? And not Doc, and not Rebecca. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do.
What do you got to prove out there?
I got nothing to prove.
Red Surf. Staying alive is only half the battle. Starring George Clooney, Doug Savant, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, and Gene Simmons.
And I was very disappointed because instead of doing Red Surf, I really wanted to do The Harvest, in which he is credited simply as a lip-syncing transvestite. But sadly, The Harvest was not available, so instead I had to sit through Red Surf, which was intolerable. Red Surf, directed and written by H. Gordon Boos, that's an actual person, spelled B-O-O-S, and was also written by Brian Gamble, Jason Hoffs, and Vincent Robert. So it took 4 people to write this absolute wanky piece of crap, which is essentially, I don't know quite how to boil this down. Essentially, if I tell you that it's not till about an hour in that you find out that he was a surfer, that kind of explains this whole movie. Like, it hits the ground running, and you're like, I don't know, is this a drama, a heist movie, an action film, a romantic comedy? What is it? Who are these people, and what are they doing? I thought initially it was going to be like Point Break kind of thing, like a kind of Point Break ripoff, but it isn't. It's about 4 friends, all of whom I can, as far as I can figure out, are the most annoying people on the planet. The only person who's any good in this at all is Gene Simmons. So the 4 people, they get on jet skis, or 6 people, they get on jet skis and go out to like channel buoys, like channel markers in the water to get drugs off a holdall that is attached to channel markers to take back.
It's a 2-person job.
It's a 2-person job, and there's like 8 of them or something. They then take this to a horrendous Hispanic drug dealer stereotype with a mullet, who then is
Keith Gordon.
Ridiculous. played by Keith Gordon, or as he's known in this movie, Keith Kwandon. There is a lot of like incredibly horrible stereotypes of Hispanic people walking around with the top buttons done up of their checked shirts. Then there's this whole subplot about Dee Dee Pfeiffer, his girlfriend, being pregnant and how he can never grow up and be a real man, and he's doing too many drugs and he's on the road to disaster and all the rest. And she wants to move to Oregon. Meanwhile, one of his team, who is literally the most annoying man on the planet, I mean really the most annoying fucking man on the entire planet. He has 6 lines shaved into the back of his hair. He laughs like a hyena on smack. He's the most irritating, awful person on the planet. He gets arrested, which then leads to some of the other... Like, it's irrelevant. I'm going to stop right now because it's all irrelevant. Never, ever, 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 ever watch this movie ever. It is clearly written by 4 people who first of all, have never been to the hood. Secondly, have never, ever taken drugs. Thirdly, have never, ever had to deal with a pregnant girlfriend because none of them have ever had sex. And fourthly, couldn't cast their way out of a wet paper sock. Like, it is the worst. It's the worst cast, the worst written, the worst acted, the worst directed, straight-to-video, crime, drug, romance, surf movie I've ever seen. There isn't even surfing in it until an hour into it when I'm like, why is he surfing? Then 20 minutes more goes by, and then we see him go to a box in Gene Simmons' basement, I think. I don't know where it was because it wasn't fucking explained, and take out some surf memorabilia because apparently he used to be a surf whiz. Not that that is ever fucking mentioned in the film in the first hour of the running time. It is, so bad. And
that's our show tonight, folks.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you.
Jesus.
And I paid 86p for it on Amazon.
John
you
had
didn't
to struggle,
even watch
just
all
to
of it,
struggle
right?
to even talk about this movie.
So, Matt, were you the only other person who watched all of it?
No, I didn't make it all the way through.
Did
It's that
anybody
bad.
make it all the way through?
I turned it off 4 times.
Did anyone make it all the way through?
I couldn't I couldn't even watch it at all. Like not that I like it's not that I started and couldn't finish it. The free trial thing I had to sign up for, like I couldn't get the page to load like at all. So like I couldn't even watch it.
That's called a Christmas miracle, man.
I was about due for one.
So Doc, how much of the running time did you make it through?
About 45 minutes, and I fell asleep. And you messaged me and says it's the most atrocious piece of shit you've ever seen. I thought, well, I'm not finishing it then, because it was pretty fucking dire. I was kind of watching it thinking something's got to happen.
Right. So
and then he popped back on gold.
Funnily enough, Doc, the last 10 minutes of the movie, something happens. Like the last.
Oh, but watch it now.
Like the last 10 minutes of the movie. So, essentially, Clooney plays this guy who can't be told what to do, or won't go on the straight and narrow. Doesn't care about his girlfriend. Only wants to be a surf champion, drug dealing, red waistcoat wearing, leather jacket and bandana wearing dickhole the whole of his life. That's all he wants to do. And his girlfriend, who's pregnant, weirdly wants to keep the baby and be with him, which is fucking inexplicable. He lets her down.
She keeps trying to change him, doesn't she? That's bloody women, isn't it? All over.
She dresses up. She dresses up really nice. She buys him lots of food and says, "I'm going to cook you dinner." And he was like, "Great, we can do this tomorrow night. I'm going out." Like, this is him. Like, this is him throughout the whole movie. His blonde friend, who's equally floppy-haired, he has slightly more heart about him. He just wants to settle down and run a bike shop and fix up old
That's the guy with the long
Harleys.
hair and the beard.
Yeah, the blonde counterpart to Clooney. He keeps... At one point, he turns around to Clooney and says, "We're going to do this $100,000 deal, but don't worry, you don't have to come on the heist with us. We'll go do it, and you'll get $75,000 out of the bargain, so you and Dee Dee Pfeiffer can go away to Portland and live happily ever after and have this baby." And Clooney loses his shit and goes, "I set this deal up. I want to go on this deal, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "But it could be a life or death mission. So, like, don't go on this thing because you've got a baby to raise." And he's like, "I don't give a fuck about that. Nobody tells me what to do." And I'm like, you could sit on your ass in your beachfront property, which he owns somehow, don't know how, and hang out with Gene Simmons and talk about your surfing days or surfing, right? And get $75,000 for doing nothing, and you're angry and upset about this. Sorry, at what point am I meant to give two hairy shits about what your character wants at this point? I mean, the worst written film ever. So anyway, he dies, and spoiler.
Does George Clooney die?
Clooney dies, and the blonde guy goes to Portland with Dee Dee Pfeiffer and raises Clooney's kid with her. That's how it ends.
Really?
Yeah, so
I might have to watch it then.
Yeah, so but that's the last 10 minutes of the film. Literally, just fast forward the 80
Well,
minutes.
I've got a couple of old gay guys coming over later, and while they're masturbating furiously, I might watch it.
Yeah. So Quentin Tarantino on interviewing Clooney about Dusk Till Dawn and talking about how Clooney didn't get hired in Reservoir Dogs but wanted him back for Dusk Till Dawn, cited Red Surf as the movie he watched and thought that Clooney could do the character in From Dusk Till Dawn. If ever, I mean, he was right, Clooney nails the character in From Dusk Till Dawn, but if ever you needed evidence that Quentin Tarantino is so utterly full of horse shit, Red Surf is it. Because if you watched Red Surf and thought George Clooney could do anything other than be trampled by a herd of stampeding wildebeest, you're a fucking nutcase.
Maybe that's what he was going for in the original script of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Matt, do you have any opinions on this, sir?
The movie's terrible. Don't watch it. Avoid it like the plague. You summed it up, John. It's the worst.
It really is. It really is the worst. And everyone involved, like, he should be more ashamed of this film than Batman and Robin. He should be thoroughly more ashamed of this film than Batman and Robin. At least in Batman and Robin, Arnold Schwarzenegger goes, "It's eyes to see you." Ha ha! At least you get that in Batman and Robin. There's not even any ice puns in Red Surf. There's not even any surfing puns in this. And at no point does Gene Simmons play a cross-dressing transvestite murderer. So it's pointless.
I thought it was fantastic.
Mo, you didn't see it.
Yeah, right.
So no one had any comments on Red Surf. Doc fell asleep. Don't see it. We didn't. You know what we didn't do? We didn't do a star rating and stuff for Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Let's just do that quickly. So Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Mo, your star rating?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Should people watch it?
Fuck yeah.
Matt?
I'd give it a 1.5 stars.
Okay, and should people watch it?
If you're a Killer Tomato fan, yes, definitely see it.
Doc?
1.
1 star. And should people see it?
No.
No. Okay. Red Surf, I give 0 stars. It's that bad. I give 0. It doesn't even get half a star. Oh, no, it gets half a star because at one point Clooney is wearing a red waistcoat, or vest as Americans call it, over the top of a Def Leppard crop top T-shirt, so it actually just comes up above his midriff and shows a lot of his back fat off, and drives along in a Jeep wearing tiny square specs. So that it gets half a point for that. But beyond that, it's awful. And Matt, you can give it a point rating if you want, but I imagine we're all the same.
I'm not even going to be fair to this movie. I just give it a 0 for just, not even for effort at all. I mean, there wasn't really any effort put into this rather than just I don't really even know what they were trying to showcase in this one. I mean, even Clooney looks like, again, he was trying, but the material they gave him, it's not working.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about this, Clooney acts more in this than he does in Killer Tomatoes. Like, it has that going for it, in that Clooney is at least trying to act. It's a bit hilarious. Like, if there was ever a movie that Clooney's done that should win Razzie Awards and be screened at a roast of George Clooney, it would be this one, because it is fucking awful. Doc, do you have any last comments?
Yeah, 5 stars, because it got you so angry.
That's probably the most I've ever heard John rant ever before.
Yeah, it was...
Wait, hold on. Have you ever talked to John before?
Yeah. Do a podcast with him.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just head up to New York for a day, spend a couple hours with him.
Yeah, you'll hear me rant more than that. But, Kim and I were watching it, and it was... We paused at a certain point, and I was like, fuck, this thing's only half an hour in. We've got a whole other, hour and 10 minutes left.
She was like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I know, it's great, eh?
Yeah, no, she was... I had to do so much apologizing for this film. Even to myself, I couldn't... And even to you guys, I'm so glad you guys didn't watch it all the way through. I'm so very glad that's the case. Anyway, we have our last... I know that you're all excited, but we have our last George Clooney quiz question.
There's another one. Yes,
it's the last chance for everyone to win. So here we go.
Just make the answer toad face, man. So much.
Listen. So
no. Don't change anything on my behalf.
I'm not changing anything on your behalf. You are allowed to answer whatever you like. So, George Clooney starred in the film The Men Who Stare at Goats. Name other animals you'd like to see George Clooney stare at until you fall asleep. A, bison. B, llama. C, a burrowing tussock moth. Or D, Donald Trump's ballsack. Mo.
All right, I've had no luck with Toad-Faced Man so far, so I'm going to say...
Mo, the answer is Toad-Faced Man. You win all. Matt, what's your answer?
I'd say A.
A, but you'd like to see The Men Who Stare at Bison.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be if it co-starred Steven Seagal, all the bison would be eaten within 3 minutes.
The man who stared at the other man eating bison.
And Doc, what's your answer?
D.
You want to watch George Clooney stare at Donald Trump's trembling ballsack?
No. He just always has D on the mind.
Oh, okay. He just wants to see D's and A's.
D.D. Pfeiffer.
D.D. Pfeiffer, yeah. Well, the answer is the Toad-Faced Man. So, Mo, congratulations. You won handfuls of barely legal stroke mags and a copy of the film Bedroom Desires 6, starring Gabriella Hall, and some rare puppets that Jim Henson never used, went rogue, and started appearing in pussy films for the extra cash. Also, as a bonus prize, you get 5 cock rings engraved with the name of the key cast members of Three's Company.
Ooh.
Well, one of those I don't have already, so that's good.
And I have to say, gentlemen, thank you so much for yet again sitting in on this New Year's Eve spectacular. Do we have any final thoughts about the show, about George Clooney, about any of the movies, or about New Year's Eve in general? What do we want to see from 2017? Matt, let's start with you.
Well, I was talking to Paul about this before the show. I know number one thing I'm sure you guys know about this now, this upcoming sequel to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yes.
Is that the one where Ryan Gosling stares out of windows wearing a vest in the future?
That's why I want to see it.
Yeah. Mumbling. Ryan Gosling mumbles while Michelle Williams cries in the background and something like that. While Harrison Ford wanders around in his dressing gown going, am I still trying to milk my earlier career for profit?
Is this one called Only Blade Runner Forgives?
Right. As long as it's not called Blade Runner and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, we might be okay.
I get the feeling that you two have seen a shooting script.
Yeah.
You're clued in, aren't you?
Ridley Scott is, at this point, could you possibly stare out of more windows, Ryan Gosling? Rutger Hauer is not going to be in it, so that's what I'm disappointed about.
That's a shame.
I know, dude. You've not seen Blade Runner, have you?
I've not seen Blade Runner, no.
There's a good reason why Rutger Hauer's not in it.
It doesn't matter. I want him back. He was a robot.
You know, my mother describes Rutger Hauer as that handsome guy who I like.
That works.
That's the way I describe him.
Yeah, I think it's adorable.
So, Matt, you're excited for the Blade Runner sequel. Anything else people can be hopeful for in 2017?
Well, like I said, like you were saying at the beginning of the show, don't take everything too seriously, or like most of you will just basically begin to cry at every little thing that's going to be coming down the pike. So,
it's a good answer. Good answer, sir. And was there any more on George Clooney that you had or not?
Like I said, he's still. I'm not real sure what he's going to be having coming up next. I mean, do you guys know what he's going to be doing next?
No, I watched Money
Surf
Monster. Red Surf. Now, if Quentin Tarantino really wants to go out on a bang, his 10th film, which he says is going to be his last film, should be a 3-hour Red Surf sequel starring Tim Roth, George Clooney, Michael Madsen. Who's that German dude who's in everything now, even though he only does the same role?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz.
Keith Gordon.
Zoe Bell. And Keith Gordon. Yeah, that's the 10th film he should do, a Red Surf sequel, in which maybe someone actually fucking surfs.
And Dana Hill.
The corpse of Dana Hill, strapped to one of the channel markers, maybe.
Got my money.
Got my money. So, Doc, what was your feeling on this episode, on George Clooney and the future of 2017?
This episode has been a joy, fellas. It's a joy to take part in. It's always a pleasure to speak to you guys. And for 2017, let's be honest, it can't be any fucking worse than this year, can it?
Yeah,
probably not.
When people say that, I go,
What's been so bad about it then?
I don't know. I think it could actually get worse. But we'll wait and see.
David Bowie died, dude. It can't get worse. I don't see a point in living. So as soon as we finish recording, I'm going to go and get high.
All the last copies of Red Surf could be destroyed by Donald Trump's thought police.
And you said Donald Trump was a bad thing.
Yeah. So, Mo, thoughts on this episode, George Clooney and the future?
Well, I can tell you that recording this episode this year without excruciating tooth pain has been a blast. That last year, that was no fun. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if we had gone with the original plan of varying the before they were famous, we wouldn't have had, well, you guys wouldn't have had to endure Red Surf, but, whatever. It was fun. As for the future, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Doc on this one. I think, like, if, it can't get much worse than what happened. Like, honestly, 2016, not to get all like serious for a second here, but honestly, 2016, not counting like the celebrity deaths and all that shit, was probably one of the worst years of my life. So if it gets worse than this, I'm just gonna fucking put a bullet in my head and hang myself from the closet so that I look like I was pulling a David Carradine.
Well, I'm and look, we've all felt that way before, Mo. And don't worry, even if you fuck up and kill yourself by accident, I will tell everybody that you were just having a wank. And I will, of course, steal all your porn collection.
Yeah, do me a favor while you're at it. Clear my search history on my computer too.
Oh yeah, no, of course. That goes without saying. Well, first of all, I'll transfer it over to my computer.
Sure.
One of the things I'm most excited about in 2017 is coming back to England, which I'm doing at the end of August. I'm excited about that. And
I didn't know that.
So yeah, no, it just got clarified this last couple of days, Doc. So we will be coming to see you in Leicester.
You don't have to do that.
You and the family. I want to ride around in one of your trucks, dude. I want to touch one of your potatoes. And I want to see some of Leicester's famous graffiti and taste one of your kebabs.
That's a sex thing.
That's a sex thing. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also looking forward to the fact that, Mo, you'll like this. Today, I picked up a VHS player from one of Kim's relatives. So now Kim and I are the proud owners of a VHS player, and I can buy splits.
So when you say VHS player, do you mean like a VCP or is it a VCR?
VCR.
Ah. Okay.
So I can buy splits.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And you better. And if you give it anything less than 4 stars, I'm going to record a video and put it out for the world to see of me tearing you in the asshole.
So for people who don't know, who haven't listened to that, there is a film called Splits, which is a fairly adequate mid-'80s sex romp film.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Mo's a big fan. It only had, at the time, one review on Amazon. Yeah. And it was a 3-star, a fairly decent review of the film. Yeah. But it was only a 3-star review. Mo decided not just to write his own review, but do a video review in which he slagged off and tore a new asshole of this poor person who'd written a 3-star review. So if you go to Split, spelt with a Z or Z, on Amazon.com, you will see this perfectly reasonable 3-star review and then a video in which Mo is ranting and raving about the fact that this person gave it a 3-star review when it is nothing short of a 4 or 5-star film.
It's honestly one of the best moments in my comedic history.
Yes, and we figured that he should.
It's so funny that guy killed himself.
Actually, I think that makes the whole thing funnier.
No, and it's not quite as funny because that woman who wrote that 3-star review was Dana Hill. So.
You know what? I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all.
I don't feel bad because she's dead. She doesn't exist anymore.
Fuck her.
And her relatives are definitely not listening to this and weeping.
Oh God, I hope not.
I can get splits on VHS for $5.99.
Do it.
Right.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Just don't show it to your daughters, at all.
Well, not yet, at least.
Not yet, at least. So what was it? Oh, yeah. So, splits. The best thing in the video, I think, is that Mo mentions the sideways box art as being a selling feature of the movie.
It is. The sideways box art's the reason why I bought it, and then I watched it.
And I suggested that Mo go through really obscure films on Amazon and make video reviews slagging off the other reviews of the movie across Amazon, like some sort of bizarre web series that you could only stumble across. You could never on Amazon. It wouldn't be like a web series that would ever be on YouTube or anything. You would only stumble across it if you were a lover of really obscure bad films on Amazon. And I wanted Mo to do that. He has as yet not taken up that baton, but we hope in 2017.
There are probably a good 15 things that I say that I'm going to do, and or I've said I'm going to do that I have not even remotely started to do yet. So that they'll just add that to the list of things I should start doing.
But anyway, gentlemen, thank you ever so much. This has been, as always it is on New Year's Eve, a thrill. It's been funny. It's been great. We've weathered some really average and awful films. Thank you ever so much. It's been a pleasure. I won't say any more. Have a happy New Year, and enjoy what you can of 2017.
Thank you. You too. Have a great 2017. I'm sure it can't get any fucking worse.
Yeah. Have a great New Year's, everybody.
I hope you all have a terrible fucking New Year's. Fuck all of you.
Cheers, Mo.
And with that, we end the Dana Hill Memorial Show.
Oh, God.
3 guys and a cup.
Oh, man.
And to play us out, I've put a quarter in the Aftermovie Diners jukebox, and this request is going out to Doc Paul Crowson, who asked for the music from the love scene of Return to Horror High. Yes, it's that immortal classic by Wendy Fraser, Man for Me. Happy New Year, everybody.